What's going on? 6:02. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. The Vols fall to Kentucky last night in Rupp Arena, 75-64. Igor Milzic finishing with 16 points, one rebound shy of a double-double. Zakai Ziegler, the leading scorer for the Vols, with 17 points and 6 assists. The final head coaching opening has been filled as the Saints agree to terms with Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. The 35-year-old is on the move to a different job for the fourth straight season, but this will be his first head coaching job in the NFL. Looking at potential coaching hires for his staff, former Chargers head coach Brandon Staley has emerged as a serious contender for the Saints defensive coordinator job under new head coach Kellen Moore. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
RKW on 104.5 The Zone begins your Wednesday morning in studio on a cold and rainy day. 615-737-1045 is the number. We have already reached anonymous scouts talking to media season. That's how you know the NFL draft is here. Well, they're talking about quarterbacks. And this morning we'll tell you exactly what they are saying in a piece by Matt Zenitz at CBS Sports.com. Kentucky clearly has Tennessee's number, although we thought maybe it would be a different number in the Vols' favor last night. Nope, in Corrupt Arena, Kentucky gets the win over the Vols. We'll dive into that. Grant Ramy joins us at 8:20 this morning, and we talk veteran quarterback options. Rhett Bryan will be here at 9 a.m. in studio talking Titans with us before Inky Johnson wraps up the show at the end of the program as well. It is Wednesday, February the 12th. The football offseason continues. Good morning. How are we doing?
We're good, man.
Morning. Yeah. Got a little rain still going, but it's not going to rain on our parade today.
No.
There's weather on the fours on 104.5 The Zone.
Weather on the fours. We should do that.
Yeah, I thought we were Western. I thought we were in the clear till Friday and Saturday on the rain. Had no idea.
I like rain, but man, I'm the sogginess can only go on for so long for me, and then I'm over it. When you take the dog out and they're running around and dirt's coming up everywhere, and then you got to make sure you're wiping them down before they come inside.
Yeah.
So we just keep a towel right there by the door when Red comes inside, because for some reason the yard in our area is not really grass anymore. It's all mud at this point.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the ominous weather report for 10 days out?
Yes.
So you may not have to deal with slush anymore. You may be dealing with, I think it said, 10 inches of snow?
It projected, the model I saw said 20.
20 inches of snow. Double.
Yeah, so it won't snow.
Yeah,
What
say
in
what?
the
So it
world?
won't snow.
Yeah, that's what I
What
was
you're telling me
thinking.
is
Yeah.
it won't snow.
Don't laugh in its face now.
No.
It'll end up
What I'm
piling us
hearing is
up.
there is no chance it snows in a week and a half.
No, 20 days. This is like the 27, 28.
2 weeks
for the
and a
month.
half.
That's wild they can
That's-
predict
yeah,
it that
too
far
far
out.
Now, yeah, I know. Well, I mean, this is just how the satellites work, I guess, too. I'm just wondering where it's coming from. Like, is it Canadian?
the sky. Oh, that's my fault.
It's
you know
coming
what?
from
It's just certain times, you know what I'm saying? Like,
sky above.
you just need a fight room. We need a fight club in this studio. You know what I'm saying?
That's
That
known.
could get dangerous.
I'm not violent. Ramon Foster
right?
at 6:06 in the morning. You know, we need a fight room.
Maybe a rage
That
room.
would
I could
actually
get
be
down
fun.
with
Can
a
we
rage
just get a
room.
clip of that, Bert, that we can play every time Ramon prefaces a statement with, I'm not a violent person, but you just shut his mic off and play him saying, we need a fight room.
Right?
I'm like the people in the Roman days, all right? Where I like to just go, let's go to the Coliseum and see some
Exactly.
violence from time to time. And Bert's
It's called
first on the
football
list.
in the modern times.
Well, it is
Sure.
called football in the modern times,
I could
100%,
see
man.
you starring in a movie like The Gladiator.
Oh, no doubt. What's the name? Also, too, man, speaking of pets, I feel like I know when Zeus is upset with me.
What do you?
He does certain
do?
stuff.
Man of the house.
He legitimately, huh?
He's man of the house.
And he thinks he is. Yeah. He does this like get up at 3 a.m. stuff often when he's mad. Like the last few nights, me and him have been like really good. And he's sleeping through the night and chilling. When he's upset or he doesn't get like food from the table, he will like blatantly, in my mind, just wake me up at 3 a.m. It's one of the craziest things ever. And
see, once you give him one thing, it's like it never ends, because I had the issue of doing that too.
I ain't got no problem with giving him stuff. It's just that you don't get it every single time.
It's expected.
Yeah, well,
it's expected, and he won't eat his food.
Folks will be over here if you need us.
That's why we just go against the other stations in here, because there's politics here, there's other radio
RB
stations.
here.
I am not inviting Kenny Smith.
There are other radio stations in this building?
Yeah. Well,
I'll invite Dan Mandis. I might invite Dan Mandis to Fight Club.
Man, Dan
the man can get it, man. I feel like
I don't know.
he'd be
There's a lot
little
of people
scrappy dude.
I just like to try him real quick, just to see what he does. I'm gonna be honest with you. As soon as I can, Dan Man is the ball head. If I grab the back of his head and he do some spectacular move.
Well, they're right next to us, so that'd be the easiest.
I'm just saying.
There's a hallway right there.
He might be like a Tasmanian devil out here. I got one candidate for Fight Club, and I feel like he disarm you every single time you walk in the room. Are you inviting Mayor into the fight room?
Hell no. Hell no. Mayor ain't coming to the fight room.
Why not, man? Why not Mayor, man?
I don't know. I feel like Mayor
he would uncuff you like, bro.
He tried to resolve it. He tried to resolve it.
He tried to say, brother, I love you. What? You are not right. There is something wrong with you.
Because Mayor, his heart is on his sleeves at all time, and you come with violence. I just can't see Mayor like jumping into Fight Club and just like trying to body somebody. Something like a lot of people got switches, and maybe he does, which is why he's so nice, and I love him. We all
have switches.
But I couldn't imagine like Mayor like, come on, bro, you really want to do this?
Shut up, man.
I think we should team up. I'd team up with Sissy.
You got with Sissy?
Oh, heck yeah.
I can't wait to trip y'all.
Major damage.
It is about to be like Anchorman after this break. Every other station that has heard us talk crap is going to be in the hallway like...
Right?
Snapping down the hallway, like coming down here to
baseball bats in hand.
He's got a trident.
Yeah. I feel confident. If it's show versus show, I'm feeling confident, okay, until the final.
I'm not at all. I'm not a fighter. I'm a runner.
I'm super confident.
Will's a track star.
No.
He's a runner. He's a track star.
You don't want to see my other switch, baby.
Self-awareness is a dying art, and I'm gonna hold on to it.
Will said the only way he's fighting is with a switch.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Which one is that? Because that's a federal offense.
That's correct.
That's a federal offense at this point.
We started with violence this morning.
There's a violent start to your Wednesday.
No more speaking about Fight Club.
Happy Hump Day.
We need a fight club.
Yeah,
in
this is your fault.
It is.
Yeah.
Speaking of fight clubs, all right, then the next topic we're having is about people that should have fought for their careers more.
There you go. Like you do transitions.
I'll give him a golf clap.
His transitions are
Radio
so funny though, because he puts this S-eating grin on afterwards, and it's just like
S-O-S.
So like, give me my kudos.
Yes. Give me my props. I did a thing, man. I had
6'11".
Oh,
God dang, I keep saying stuff. 6'12".
6'11".
But with that being said, you know how I always do. I got two people that are candidates for biggest flops, I guess, too. I can't wait to do it.
Okay.
Because I kept
two?
I'm gonna only do one.
Okay,
I'm gonna follow rules
you're
this
gonna
time.
give an.
Yeah, man. Because
Gotcha.
as an undrafted guy, I always follow people that came in the league with me and after me, and I was just like, he's probably not gonna be that good. Like, it was the chip on my shoulder is what we'll call it. Okay, we'll call Rob Ayers, my good homeboy, says I still have it because I hate first rounders. Not that I hate first rounders. First rounders just get chance after chance after chance after
Traylon
chance.
Burks.
To prove themselves in this.
Andre Dillard,
yeah, big time.
And other teams, you mean? Right.
Yeah,
like they just get other opportunities to go somewhere else and be the first round talent.
Hey, we can turn you around and shine you up. Absolutely not.
See, you would be in the opposite of this conversation. We could talk about your career.
Yeah, we could.
Careers that people did not give enough credit from college to the NFL.
But it's not about me. I don't, you can brag if you want to, but I don't want to talk about me.
615-737-1045 is our number. Who was the one NFL player you thought would be great, but turned out to be a bust? We'll dive into that next.
It's the month of romance, and Valentine's is almost here. Are you looking for the most thoughtful, most romantic gift for the one you love this Valentine's? Well, at Genesis Diamonds, celebrating love is their specialty, because maybe it's a simple pendant or maybe it's an exquisite, one-of-a-kind designer ring. Genesis can help you pick out the most memorable and special piece of jewelry for the occasion, all right? And to make it even sweeter, now till Valentine's, whether you spend $399 or $399,000, Genesis will give you some chocolates, fresh flowers, and dinner out at no charge. It's a one-stop shop for the ultimate Valentine's experience. So when you buy any piece of beautiful jewelry, $399 and up, Genesis will give you a bouquet of flowers from Jenny's Florist and a gift card for dinner at a Fancy Pants restaurant. So don't mess around. Get to Genesis Diamonds, all right? See their spectacular collection of rings. They have earrings, they have pendants, bands, bracelets, and a whole lot more. Their non-commissioned experts will help you find that perfect gift to celebrate your love. And Genesis, they'll even throw in some chocolates, some flowers, and a dinner out at no charge. So happy Valentine's Day from Genesis Diamonds. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs, and they're on limited quantity, so see store for details.
RKW 104.5 The Zone on your Wednesday morning. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling. Who is the player in honor of NFL draft season who you thought was going to be a stud who ended up being a bust in the world of football? There is one in Titans world and just in general, the NFL, that came to mind immediately for me when we talked about this topic. And Ramon, I know you probably played against or with a lot of people who would fit in this category as well.
Yeah, no doubt, man. It's such a fascinating approach to really breaking down drafts and guys and the prospects that do and the ones that don't. Sometimes I will say this too. I think bad coaching can ruin a player's career.
For sure.
I think bad teams can also. We clearly hear that conversation often will send me to a winning culture. It's a lot of dudes that ride the waves of winning teams and extend their careers that way. I've seen guys also behind the scenes, man, that could be a whole lot better to, guys that aren't expected to do a lot, third, fourth round guys over the duration of careers. And they just settle in also and just being career backup. So this type of stuff really intrigues me because I'll be honest, when you're undrafted, you look at the opportunities that others got. And when they don't take advantage of them or they fall short of them, it really did kind of irk me a whole lot. So y'all want me to start this thing off right?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, I have two, but I'm only do one. All right. This one is actually close. Because I thought this dude was going to change the interior offensive lineman for years to come. He had a high platform in college, was a high draft pick when I tell you who he is, and it just didn't extend itself as a career. He didn't. And that guy is local. It's Chance Warmack.
Oh, God.
Listen.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Listen.
I know that name. I've heard that name.
He was Isaiah Wilson before there was Isaiah Wilson.
He actually played.
He did actually play football. He was Andre Dillard before Andre Dillard. He was Dennis Daly before Dennis. He was NPF before NPF. It's just the way it works. I mean, it's everybody, but he was atrocious.
All right, so here it is for the ones that don't know. Most Titans fans do know. But, I had my eye on this guy as far as, he going to walk into this league. He's going to be one of those dudes, instant Hall of Famer. He's going to a team that needs him, that's running the football in that era, too. Top 10 pick, unanimous All-American his senior year, one of the best guards to come out in the draft, period.
Yeah.
National champion 3 times over. All right, he's checking every box. Then he also was one of the first guys in college that was doing something unique, in my opinion. He was a shirt-up offensive lineman. I remember saying, offensive linemen in high school raised their shirts up like he did and tuck it under, his belly showing what he was blocking. He checks everything, man. He was a road great and can't miss offensive lineman to me. And he got a ring in Philly. So, hey, there's that. He was a participant in that, but he never panned out, man. So here's the thing, though, too. After his third year with the Titans, I think he ended up starting 16 games, 14, and then he ended up getting injured or something like that. After his third year with the Titans, he only started 5 games and became a backup with Philly and other teams at that point. Went to IR in 2016, to be fair to him, and he never bounced back. Injuries do have a way of ruining guys' mentality, but there was 2 top 10 guards that year. It was him, if you guys remember, 2013 at 10. And then there was Jonathan Cooper, I feel at 4 or 5 to the Arizona Cardinals. Both of those dudes did not pan out at all. Jonathan Cooper ended up getting hurt early in camp, and he never actually really played.
You got a synopsis.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. I remember this because those 2 dudes was when, and here's the other thing. David DeCastro was drafted earlier that year before. So, this was a run on it's okay to draft guards in the first round that early.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's why, to me, it's disheartening. It never panned out. And, he had everything, the size, the strength.
So, here's the other funny thing about this. You know who the third tackle was taken that year? Number 4 overall by the Philadelphia Eagles.
Lane Johnson?
Lane Johnson.
Still cooking.
Jeez.
So the Titans drafted Chance Warmack in the same draft as the best right tackle in football, who is still playing at an elite level for the now Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles.
That's what's always tough, going back and looking at some of those draft picks that you didn't make or your team didn't make, and then there's one right next door that's winning Super Bowls at the age of 30-something.
Same year, Mike Bergonzi and the Chiefs decided to go with Eric Fisher instead of E.J. Manuel or Geno Smith at number 1 overall, too.
That's also why I bring up the Taylor Lewan fun conversation for here. And I know the body breakdowns how we want to, and Taylor, I guess his did too, but Lane Johnson, I mean, is still at
Like, you can get tackles that last you a decade.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think he still said he might not be done.
Oh.
Lane Johnson.
I wouldn't quit now.
I wouldn't either.
Like, he's like, I'm still going.
He's 34 years
Yeah,
old. He'll be
still at the
35
top
next
of his
year. And
game.
he's still playing very, very,
That's what
very
I'm
well.
saying. I got a bonus one in case we have time later, but I'll let you guys go, man. But Chance Warmack, like I had and then talking to Munch after he left too, Munch gave a lot of insight into some stuff I probably can't say on air
I'm
too.
sure he did.
Yeah. Chance Warmack is my guy. Top
you
10
go.
picks supposed to go longer than that.
Man. Okay, I guess I'll go. And it's not a Titan for me. But it is a name that, I don't know, I was up in the Midwest covering sports at the time, covering Ohio State, and it was a name that kind of stuck with me throughout that time when he was at Michigan, and a guy that never really panned out in terms of the league. And it's a name that I think a lot of people remember because it's catchy. It's Taco Charlton from Michigan, defensive end, and he was actually born in Pickerington, Ohio, which is right there in Columbus. So a lot of people know him there in that area as being a good high school player. Obviously went on to play at Michigan, and it was an interesting career, guys, because he was a little bit up and down and maybe a slow starter at Michigan. But once he hit that senior season with the Wolverines, he really started to blossom, and he had an incredible senior season. He finished with 43 tackles, 13 for loss, had 2 pass breakups, led the team with 9.5 sacks that actually ranked 10th in school history. He was named to the Big Ten All-Conference defensive team by both the coaches and media. So he actually was drafted by the Dallas Cowboys 28th overall in that 2017 draft, right? And there were questions about this, inconsistencies in his college career, but I think a lot of people thought he was on the right track with what he did that final season. So he was drafted, and he played sparingly that first season as a backup, more so. 16 games, just didn't put up a lot of great numbers. And then he suffered a shoulder injury in the next season, and it was the 8th game against none other than the Tennessee Titans he was playing. He missed 5 games of the next 6, and he was very limited in any of, the games going from there on. Then I think it was right before he was released, he had also suffered like a shoulder surgery, an ankle surgery he had. Yeah, just a lot of injuries that derailed him like early on with the Dallas Cowboys. And so I think they released him like 2 weeks into the season. And since then, in 2019, after he was released, he was with like 7 different teams, and he would just hop from team to team to team. And so obviously never found a home. He was released in 2023, I think. And his biggest claim to fame at this point, guys, was last year in the UFL when they merged and created the UFL. And he won a championship with the Birmingham Stallions.
Sure.
And I guess went
You got
off.
a lot of info on this guy. What, do you know what his blood type was? Like, y'all both got a lot of
But
info
this is
on
what
these
we're
guys.
doing.
No,
These
I
are
know.
why
I'm just,
they were bust. Like,
I'm
they're
impressed.
there were obviously reasons why you were talking about going to certain organizations too. And I think this was a guy who went to an organization where you're expected to be the guy right then. And if you don't have the support and you have some injuries and you lose that confidence with a player like that specifically, I think it's like end all be all.
There you go.
Especially in Dallas. So
Definitely.
Crazy.
yeah.
Mine's pretty basic. You don't need me to rehash every detail of his career. It's Johnny
Absolutely.
Manziel.
Yeah.
I thought Johnny Manziel was going to be the truth. And I remember in 2014, it was my junior year of high school, when the Titans drafted Taylor Lewan over Johnny Manziel. Me and all of my group of friends, we were hurt. We were legitimately like, put butts in the seats. Be entertaining for once. Come on. What are we doing? Like, this is a generational talent at quarterback. We would have been fun again. And who's going to play quarterback for us next year? Jake Locker again? Unfortunately, yes. And That was the season in 2015 or 2014 that the Titans had 6 starts of Zach Mettenberger, 5 starts of Charlie Whitehurst, Clipboard Jesus, and 5 starts of Jake Locker. Heck, Jordan Palmer even played a game for the Titans that season in 2014. So there's a blast in the past for you. I thought he was going to be so good as a 17-year-old non-ball knower. And obviously, his career turned out to be what it was. I thought he was going to be a stud.
Yeah, no doubt. Johnny Manziel, he had the league in a lock, on lock for sure.
And he was like such a public figure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he kind of sucked so many people into just the way he was a little bit of a bad boy.
He was a movement. Yeah, he was a movement for sure.
Bert, who you got?
I could do this all day.
I could too.
For me, I feel like wide receivers are the ones we build up the most in our mind because at college it's kind of easy to just dust somebody, right? Like double move somebody, have a bunch of long highlights. And the guy for me that did that was Kevin White. I thought Kevin White out of West Virginia was going to be a stud. And he just, I think the dude didn't even play a collective like 20 games in his career, and he just got out of the league in 2022. And when you talk about guys that are first round picks that keep getting chance after chance after chance, Kevin White got chance after chance after chance. Looking at who he was with, I believe the last team he was with was the Saints in 2022. But when you look at this guy's career, you've got to. And his statistics are what are his measurables. That he was 6'3", 216. He ran like a 4.4. You would hope that a guy like that could get open downfield. He played in, I was wrong, 30 games. 30 games. He played for Chicago for 3 years, took 2 years off, came back, played for the 49ers, and then played for the Saints 2 years in a row, but finally getting out in 2022. He should have been a dude. He should have been a dude and just couldn't stay on the field. I hate it for Kevin White.
I feel like that's a kind of a theme here is not being able to stay on the field. And it's just like once you have an injury, some of these players just can't get over it. I mean, Kyle Phillips, there's an example. I know he's still on a practice squad, but he could never stay on the field. And Traylon Burks.
Expectation for Kyle, though, was like maybe get 2 years out of him, though. Respectfully.
I don't know. I think a lot of people thought he was going to be a big deal, especially when he came here. Not like some end all be all, but he had the traits, and I just don't think like anybody expected him to get hurt as much as he did.
No. He made $20 million in his career for 30 NFL games. That's a nice ratio.
The American dream, man.
That's what I'm
Make
trying to
a lot
get
of money
into.
to do a little bit of work.
Yeah.
That is the dream. That's what we're all striving for. Greg Giannotti of The Fan in New York has chimed in on Twitter and tweeted at us and says, Matt Leinart.
That was my other one, actually.
Yes.
That was my other one. Watching him for 4 years, playing against him at Washington State, I was like, this guy's the dude.
He was supposed to be.
I was completely shocked that he failed so miserably.
You liked a USC quarterback?
Well, I was obsessed with him. I thought he was very cute.
There you go.
Me too.
And they actually had to keep me. I worked in athletics, and 1 year they were like, Kayla, you're not going on the field in this game.
Oh, really?
And I said, the hell I'm not, and I went on the field. They thought I was going to go up and talk to him. I'm like, I'm not that stupid.
My girl was trying to find a boot thing out there.
No, I mean, I ended up meeting him after they won the national championship in L.A. So, and he was a jerk. So.
He was a jerk?
Yeah, and I went and told him that Norm Chow was leaving the next year, and Norm Chow left and went to the Tennessee Titans.
There it is. Man.
Which I wish we had not done. That did not work out well for us.
Wasn't it for Marcus, though?
No.
It wasn't? Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
No, it was for Vince.
It was for Vince. That's correct.
It was that far back.
Because they hired Norm Chow, but then they didn't draft Norm Chow's quarterback.
Yeah.
They drafted Texas's quarterback.
Well, I mean,
any guesses on where Norm Chow is now?
Right now, oh god,
he's somewhere
like
in the league,
Hawaii
isn't he?
JUCO as a head coach.
He is the head coach of the Helvetic Guards, which is a Switzerland football team.
Sure,
you're kidding.
I love that.
I mean it. I mean it.
I didn't even know they had a Swiss football team.
615-737-1045. Who's the player you thought would be a stud but ended up to be a bust? Aaron in Jacksonville up first on the phones.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thank you for taking my call.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Hey, so I got one for the Titans, Dorial Green Beckham, the wide receiver. I thought he was going to be like the next Megatron. And then, obviously, because I live in Jacksonville, I have plenty to choose from here. Justin Blackman, wide receiver from Oklahoma State.
Yep.
Yeah, that's on the F&M Make Chat here.
Man,
here.
one arrest did it for him,
Two
man.
good picks.
God. I had him on that list, so I got another Jacksonville guy, too, Luke Jokel. number 2 overall pick.
Yeah, offensive lineman.
50 starts in his career. Didn't really, and so much so they traded Eugene Monroe to Baltimore to let him play left tackle. I remember that happening. It's like, what? Like Eugene was in his bag at that point in time. Luke Jokel, number 2 overall pick.
Was that your other one?
Yeah, it was my other one.
Someone who was not a bust in Jacksonville, but I think he only played something like 16 games in Baltimore after they handed him a fat contract and decided he wanted to retire so he could smoke weed. If the league would have just let people smoke weed, the Ravens would have had a left tackle for years to come. But no, you had to push Eugene Monroe out, and we didn't have a left tackle. Then we had to sign some scrub from the Steelers. I can't remember what his name was.
Who was the scrub from the Steelers?
I don't know. You played with him, Villanueva, something like that.
On the DGB note, one of the more underrated good moves John Robinson made as GM here was flipping Dorial Green Beckham for another player. Do you guys remember who it was?
For another player?
No. It was a player-for-player trade. They ended up being a starter for the Titans, and all they did was give up Dorial Green Beckham.
I have no clue, Will.
That's how the Titans got Dennis Kelly from the Philadelphia Eagles.
Seriously?
Really?
Yep.
Titans won that one day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they did.
won
They
that one.
absolutely won that
Absolutely.
one because he did nothing in Philly, DGB. He was the number 2 player in the country out of high school. Dorial Green Beckham was at a Springfield, Missouri. And I remember he caught a game-winning touchdown against Tennessee in that game. I believe that was 2012, 2013.
Okay.
I want to say when Tennessee had Missouri dead to rights early in their time. No, I wouldn't have been. Yeah, no, I think that would have been about right. And then I remember thinking oh, this guy's going to be the truth in the NFL. Nope, was not the truth. Was definitely not the truth.
Definitely not.
The local one, I would say, and the bust is strong, but I mean, he was a second-round pick. It's Justin Hunter. I thought Justin Hunter was going to be so good for the Titans when they drafted him. And to be fair, he was my favorite Vol on those teams. I mean, those teams were really fun on offense with him, Derrick Rodgers, and Cordero Patterson all in the same offense with Tyler Bray just slinging it at quarterback. But the most yards Justin Hunter ever had in one season was 498 in 2014. He'll always have that game-winning touchdown catch against the Chargers. In the last minute of that game, I went to that game as a kid. I was in high school. But, man, I thought he was going to be a stud.
Yeah.
Total stud.
Well, when he came to Pittsburgh, I thought that too. I thought he still had it. What you saw from him in practice,
Yeah.
elite.
Elite track
But that's the
athlete, too. That's
thing.
why I loved him.
Sometimes
It's
it
he's a
doesn't
runner
carry over.
and he's a football player.
Oh, my gosh.
There's a reason why those don't often mix.
Yeah, no, it's weird like that, man. Guys have all the intangibles and just can't find their way on the field.
Eric in Nashville up next with Draft Busts. What's up, Eric?
Hey, guys, you probably remember this and heard this one. Quarterback, USC, drafted by the Raiders, Todd Marinovich.
Yeah.
Huge bust, and he had some issues. I remember some made the news, some big stuff with his dad and just some other stuff. I mean,
That's a
it's
30
just
for
that-
30, Eric.
Yeah. So that's mine. Guys, y'all take care and we'll talk to you.
Eric,
Thank
I'm
you,
talking to you.
You should watch it. It's a 30. It's pretty good, actually.
I got 2 real quick from college that really I think gave a black eye to the state of Tennessee recruiting.
Okay.
Chris Donald out of Huntington, Tennessee was the number 1 linebacker in the country at the time. At the time he got to Tennessee, I knew instantly, nope, this ain't going to work out. And I love Chris, okay? He was one. And then the other one, man, rest in peace to him, but he just could not figure the playbook out. Daniel Brooks. Number 1 linebacker.
Yeah.
You know the story. What's the story?
Well,
Tennessee chose him
Yeah.
over Pat Willis. Because at the time, if you've seen Daniel Brooks was the man. Do you understand me? Just tenacity,
Yep.
athlete. That was one of the biggest knocks to me, I feel like, on Tennessee, the state of Tennessee recruiting. Was those type of guys had that high rating and never really paying out in college at all.
What happened to him?
Daniel who, as far as Chris Donald just could not figure it out.
The one that you said, rest in peace.
Daniel Brooks.
Car crash.
Damn.
Yeah, car crash. Sucks.
Patrick
great-
Willis from Brewston, Tennessee.
Yeah, man. Bottom of the state, right? Wanted to come to Tennessee, and Coach Former and his staff chose Daniel Brooks.
I got one for you. And I'm just interested in what you guys would think about his overall career when you look at it. Ryan Tannehill was drafted 8th overall in 2012. What would you say because I don't think that you necessarily say he lived up to being that, but I mean, he had a long enough career, but it was just so interesting. Like, he didn't really do it at Miami. If anything, I think his best few years in terms of consistency might have come here.
I don't think Tannehill was a bust.
I can't put him in that either.
It's just an interesting one.
Because I put him and Clowney in the same conversation. Honestly. Like, Clowney, I think, had double-digit sacks last year. Like, he's still getting to it.
Yeah.
Like, Tannehill led this team in the era, got the second contract and everything else. So I can't give it to him. If I'm not mistaken, Tannehill got a Pro Bowl, too. So there's that. Like, I'd like to say he's a bust, but
and I didn't necessarily say a bust, but it's just a weird.
He was for Miami, but he was not for the Titans.
No, he resurrected his career.
I'd say he's just kind of a push.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
Now, Robert Griffin, that's a bust.
615-737-1045. Who is the player you thought would be a star who ended up being a bust in the world of football? We'll go rapid fire with more of your reactions next.
It's Ramon Foster, Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Y'all, Hiller's been in business since 1990, and even better than that, they're family-owned and operated. Jimmy Hiller was recently named among one of the most admired CEOs based on what he did, because he truly cares for his team, which is always important, but even more so his clients, all right? Hiller takes care of the customer on every single job, every single time, and they stand behind the work, too. So much so that they believe happy you'll be or the service is free. If a customer isn't pleased with the work performed, they will make it right, man. And because of that, they send a professional, experienced, trustworthy technicians to come into your home and leave it cleaner and better than they found it, too. Best thing about Hiller, in my opinion, is the true transparency pricing, which means this. They will itemize every part of the job up front so homeowners can easily understand what they're paying for and why. There will be no hidden fees, no added costs, no surprises when you get your bill. To book with Hiller or learn more about them, simply visit happyhiller.com.
RKW on 104.5 The Zone, kicking off your Wednesday morning draft busts. Who'd you think would be a star who ended up to be not so much? Loaded phone lines. We'll go rapid fire, starting with Wesley in Gallatin. What's up?
What up, Wes?
So it's the Williams name just doesn't do well in wide receivers. Reggie Williams in the early 2000s and Mike Williams, not the most recent Mike Williams. But I got two locals for you that Moan I think you played with, and LaMarcus Coker.
Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, that man! I played against him. That man was electrifying.
High school Reggie Bush in Tennessee. High school Reggie Bush.
Yep.
Interesting.
Oh, guaranteed.
Stud.
LaMarcus Coker and who's the other guy?
Rod Wilkes. Yes. Heck yes. I think they're from Smyrna, if I'm not mistaken.
Thank
Rod
you,
Wilkes
Wes.
is. Yes.
Wesley was
that.
no name Allo.
Yeah, man. God.
Thank you, Wes. Appreciate it. We'd let you keep going, but we got a lot of
got
people
loaded lines.
ready to go. Josh in Clarksville next. What's up, Josh?
Hey, brothers. I'm from Southern Ohio around Dayton, and the two that I have are, number one, Kajana Carter coming out of Penn State for the Bengals. They were so in love with Kajana Carter, and he didn't do anything.
Nothing.
And then the other one is Braxton Miller. Now, when Braxton Miller was in high school, he was kind of like LeBron in high school. He was everywhere. You couldn't go anywhere, listen to anything, see anything without Braxton Miller. He gets drafted by the Texans and doesn't really do anything either.
Sure did. That was another big time.
I like it.
What
Thank you,
a
Josh.
legend.
Braxton was like a superstar in Ohio.
Yeah. Oh,
Played
yeah.
two seasons in the NFL, had 261 total receiving yards.
Quick question. What was the deal with Kendall Wright when he was drafted here?
He was fine.
Because he was a
I think
first
he had a
round.
1,000-yard season, didn't he?
Yeah. But he was drafted like in first round.
First round of the
20th?
Baylor. Yeah.
I was just interested in like what that story was.
Baylor had a run of guys like that, too, that year.
Because he was a smaller,
Yep,
obviously,
yep.
He's
receiver.
tiny.
Yeah, teeny tiny.
5'10", 185. I wouldn't say he lived up to first
To all
round
of
pick
it.
expectations, but that 2013 season, he was great.
Sure.
You also got to think about who's throwing the ball to him, though, for his whole career.
Exactly.
Because he had
And the coach.
clipboard Jesus playing quarterback at one point.
Yep.
Didn't play very long, though.
Nope.
Retired at 28. Or I guess didn't play anymore in the NFL after 28. Zach in Nashville up next. Hey, Zach.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Will. Hey, I got a big one here. Personal. Growing up as a kid, I like the Raiders, so I'm going with take y'all back to 2007. Jamarcus Russell.
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
And it was rough, especially considering, if I recall correctly, that year, they could have had Adrian Peterson. They could have had Calvin Johnson.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Jamarcus Russell. That was mine, fellas. Thank you. And lady fellas, love you, Caleb. Bye-bye.
Thanks, man. He's one of the biggest busts of all time, I think.
Easily.
Jamarcus Russell.
On the Mount
Seriously.
Rushmore of busts.
Easily.
No doubt.
Him,
He has
Ryan
a bust
Leaf.
in the Hall of Busts.
Yeah.
Is he college football Hall of Fame, though?
I don't know.
That's a good question.
Could be.
Really good question.
Could
'Cause he
be at
was
some
a
point.
baller
At some point, potentially.
at LSU.
He's not yet,
Not
He
yet.
is not.
Okay.
but he could be.
What the heck is he even doing?
I'll effort that.
Thanks, Bert.
Good luck with that.
Thanks to our research department, Bert.
On Twitter, at Ramon Kayla Will, Peter Burns of SEC Network tweeting at us saying
Yes.
Trent Richardson.
Ooh, that's a popular
We
one.
have had a lot of Trent Richardson on our Twitter mentions. That is a great pick.
Good one.
Matt says Tim Couch
Tim Couch.
Oh, yeah.
in the Cleveland Browns graveyard of quarterbacks.
First jersey they put out there, I think, when they moved back to Cleveland.
Yeah, that's also the
Yes.
one where whenever you see the jerseys where they have like the tape where they write new names underneath it, it usually starts with Couch.
He's king.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's originally a Tim Couch
He
jersey.
started the quarterback graves.
The original Browns QB bust.
So an update on Jamarcus Russell. The last
That's
update
fast.
we had was June 29th of last year. The headline reads, former number one pick Jamarcus Russell removed his high school assistant after allegedly taking a $74K donation and cashing it.
Oh, my. So he's still doing.
He held
Marcus
out for a
Russell
long
things.
time in training camp to get paid. Brother, what did you do with all that money?
Damn.
No.
Did you make the move from Oakland to Vegas with your former employer? What are we doing? Goodness.
Oh, I hate.
We've had a couple Ryan Leafs,
Oh, yeah.
of course. Anytime you talk about busts, you're going to get Ryan Leafs. Jalen Hurd, a name we've had a few times. He wasn't a bust in the NFL. He wasn't drafted that high.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't really expected to be. I mean, he probably didn't live up to where he was drafted, but like,
He ended up
I don't
going-
think he qualifies as a bust. Yeah,
Right.
You're thinking bust. You're thinking people you thought would be like. I mean, maybe people did think he would be an all-pro receiver or a stud receiver, but
Probably in like the fantasy football community. You
Yeah.
could say he was, because a lot of people were like, he went to the 49ers.
It's too
This
harsh
guy's
on
a
Jalen
weapon. He's going to do something, and he didn't.
And I'm sorry, Titans fans, but when I was doing research yesterday, I looked up a lot of things in terms of biggest busts of all time. Isaiah Wilson is in a lot of these. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Isaiah Wilson
apologize
might
for
be
that.
the number one bust of all time.
that guy is in a lot of these lists.
He's the Mount Rushmore for the Titans, I feel like.
And I know he wasn't
100%.
drafted super high
He's
in the
so
first
big,
round,
he
but
is the
still,
mountain.
he never even played. Well, a
Yeah.
couple snaps.
Couple snaps.
We'll always have those extra point snaps in Indianapolis. Chris in Milwaukee, draft busts. Go ahead.
I got two names for you. They're both from Ohio State. Dwayne Haskins and
Yep.
Chase Young.
Chase Young,
Yeah,
Dwayne.
Chase has not lived up.
Yep.
Dwayne, rest in peace, man.
Yep.
That's a interest. I mean, you know him.
Yeah, that
in-
one's pretty wild. That
That's-
one's pretty wild. But as far as we're going to speak about career, yeah, definitely career-wise,
Yeah.
didn't pan out. Absolutely not at all. And Chase Young, injuries got him.
Injuries.
Just couldn't figure out how to rush and get off tackles.
And
at
he's
this
still
point.
playing, but he's just not what he used to.
Genetic
or what he was
freak,
supposed
though.
to be. Yeah.
It's a switch.
Ryan in Lebanon. Go ahead, Ryan.
So a big one that you guys haven't talked about. This guy was an absolute stud in college. Tavon Austin.
Oh, my gosh.
That Carolina crew.
That is the
you
ultimate
go.
answer. Thank you, Ryan. The Tavon Austin mixtape has like lore for men 25 to 40. And what I mean by that is there is a YouTube video, and people who know ball know about this video. I already see Bert nodding his head. There is a video of Tavon Austin's college highlights. If I'm ever in a coma, just play that video next to my face. I will wake up and I will start humming the I could sing you the song.
Wow.
He has a bag deeper than most people that have ever lived in their sport.
25 million views on this highlight tape.
It
you
is
serious?
the highlight tape of all highlight tapes. Like, I feel like we can't give any other answers because that's the perfect one to end on for this
Pocket
discussion. Like, Tavon Austin was him at West Virginia. Him. You hear me?
That's insane.
I could write novels about how much I love that video. Clearly, I just did. 615-737-1045. More of your thoughts at Ramon Kayla Will. You can chime in there as well. A couple of Jake Lockers
Oh, yeah.
Jake made
as
it.
well.
Some of us predicted he wouldn't be anything, but I'm not going to say that.
Washington quarterback. That one checks out. Jake
Marvin Austin's who I was thinking about too. Who's
Marvin?
supposed to
Marvin
be the
Austin.
defensive lineman from North Carolina?
Sure.
He was supposed to be like a stud of a dude, and that's when North Carolina was paying all those dudes money, and they got suspended and everything in that era. Oh my gosh!
Yep.
Coming up, Kentucky beat Tennessee again. Why do the Cats have the Vols number? We'll dive into it next.
Zone, what's your name? I just act like I was answering the daggum phone, y'all. This is where I'm at on a Wednesday, 7 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I am Robert Walsh. The Vols fall to Kentucky last night in Rupp Arena, 75-64. Igor Milicic finishing with 16 points, 1 rebound shy of a double-double. Zakai Ziegler, leading scorer for the Vols, with 17 points and 6 assists. With last night's win over the 5th-ranked Volunteers, the 2024 Kentucky men's basketball team now has the most wins versus an AP top 15 team in program history. They sit at 7 such wins with 7 games to go, 2 of which come against current top 15 Auburn and Alabama. The final head coaching opening has been filled as the Saints agree to terms with Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. The 35-year-old is on the move to a different job for the 4th straight season, but this will be his first head coaching job in the NFL. He was with the Dallas Cowboys from 18 to 22 and the Chargers in 23 before joining Philly this year. Looking at potential coaching hires for his staff, former Chargers head coach Brandon Staley has emerged as a serious candidate for the Saints defensive coordinator job under new head coach Kellen Moore. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
RKW on 104.5 The Zone rolls into the 7 a.m. hour on this Wednesday. Full crew in studio: Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling. Robert Walsh makes the show happen. 615-737-1045 is our number as Tennessee falls once again to Kentucky. 75-64 last night inside Rupp Arena. Kentucky finishes off the season sweep. Tennessee, who trailed by double digits early in the second half, late in the first half, led 60-58 in this game with 4:50 left. And starting point guard Lamont Butler was out.
Oh.
You felt like the Vols had it. They'd come back. They'd overcome their poor three-point shooting. Nope. 3 of 18 from 3. Kentucky shoots 12 of 24 from 3. Clearly, there is something about this matchup for Tennessee that just doesn't click. Kentucky has Tennessee's number this year.
They got him. They absolutely got him, man. The 2 threes came from your big Igor, but no, all 3.
All of them. Mm-hmm. All of your threes came from Igor Milicic yesterday.
3 for 4. Goodness. Shout out to him. He's the only one that can really talk on the bus back home, man. Tell you that much. That's how it goes. Y'all shut up. I talk is what Igor Milicic tell everybody else, man.
Him and Zakai.
Him and Zakai. Yeah.
Zakai was good last night, too.
He was. Got to give it to him, man. Just not their day. Well, no, screw that. Not their day. You get swept, they got you. It's just that simple against Kentucky for me, man. The guys that you need to step up the most, well, the guy, I'll be honest with you, Chaz. Can't go missing.
Yeah.
Cannot go missing, man. 0 for 7 from the 3, and it just looked like his ability to get open is something I think that can be problematic for the squad if everybody else isn't on these games, and that's where they were last night. Couldn't get much out of the bench. Guys missing the mid-range too, and then when you look at the way Kentucky was shooting the leather off the ball, you got to be able to have your stars inject a little bit more excitement into the game. I thought when they walked them down as far as taking a lead and going on a run, because they didn't have much of a run in this game, you got to be able to have other guys step up, and that didn't happen. Specifically for me, Chaz just could not bring it. And of course, Meshack, you're a starter with 0 points on the board. And I know his defense supplements a lot. When you're playing against these types of teams that have this type of firepower, Owe, oh my gosh, just could not miss.
Transfer, yeah.
Seriously.
Interesting, and you said, as a starter, you have to put points up on the board at some point. On the opposite end, when talking, after the game, Rick Barnes said, look, the 3-point shot, that wasn't our biggest issue. And I'll get to that in a second. He said, you let their bench come in and impact the game in a big way. He said, that cannot happen. Kentucky had 26 points from its bench. which is a big thing, like Rick Barnes said. Like, we've got to, when these other guys come in, we've got to be able to play our best defense still. And when it comes to the 3-point shot, I was listening to the broadcast yesterday, and I heard them mention, for the most part, Tennessee has not allowed the 3-point shot to go as much as it has against Kentucky. Kentucky is the only team through 25 games to shoot 40% or better from 3 against Tennessee this season. So it's a weird thing, like Will said. It's just a bad matchup.
It's really weird. It makes no sense how Tennessee can hold Auburn to under 60 points in their home gym, who's a really good offensive team. Oklahoma, who's a really good offensive team, goes cold. Missouri still scored over 80, but they threw in a lot of shots late in that game, but were ultimately neutralized in their offense compared to what Tennessee was doing. Like, it doesn't make sense how Kentucky is the only team that is just immune to Tennessee's really good 3-point defense. And on the flip side, Tennessee does not have the shot-making ability to expose Kentucky's weakness, which is a wretched defense. Yeah. Kentucky does not play defense, yet Tennessee cannot hit wide-open shots against them. At this point, looking at both these teams, I don't think either of them will make a deep run in the NCAA tournament because both of them have too big of a weakness on either side of the ball. They are opposites. Yeah. Tennessee has way too many spurts where they can't score. Kentucky has way too many spurts where they can't defend, except against Tennessee. It is odd. It is really, really odd. And in both games that these two teams have played, Rick Barnes has said, we just have too many breakdowns. Yeah. Said we are having defensive breakdowns against this system. So there is something about what Kentucky is doing that somebody a lot smarter than me, like Ron Slay, is going to need to explain. And Grant Ramy of VolQuest can talk about coming up at 8:20 that they are doing that other teams aren't. And it's working. Because, again, 50% from 3, it's the difference of the game.
That's wild. And Tennessee, by the way, shot 16.7% from 3.
And then it seems like a team that has that same kryptonite on them, too. This upcoming weekend, the Vols got to play Vandy, who can do similar things. They want to shoot the ball. They love to get up and down the court. They got the guards that can play the game somewhat like Kentucky does, too. And, again, I saw somebody say the Vols got out-rebounded. No, the Vols out-rebounded them offensively and defensively last night, too. It was a matter of making shots and, honestly, just taking advantage of the run that they have and the fact that you had Lamont Butler out. They had a guy, Trent Noah, come off the bench and light them up. Their ability, and this has happened from time to time, too, when you have a known 3-point shooting team, they go under in moments, under the screens at moments where they can't afford to. And here's the other part. Kentucky was just hot. When they see Tennessee or they see Vols, the ball just goes into the ocean. Like, I saw, who was it last night? Felix Akpara. He was defending at the top of the key, top of the 3-point line, hand in the guy's face. And I think it was Trent Noah.
It was Kobe Bryant.
It was Kobe Bryant.
Late in the game, too.
Didn't matter.
Made one that took the lead, gave them the 61-60 lead. They never looked back.
What's your answer for that, then? I mean, you don't.
No, there isn't one. I mean, they just made some really tough shots that this is what Mark Pope teams are going to be at Kentucky. They're going to have games where they just get on fire. Both times they've played Tennessee, they have shot the lights out.
Yep.
But at the same time, Tennessee also gave them way too many open threes within this as well. And if you give Kobe Bryant an open 3, it's like giving him a layup.
Yeah. I was listening to Bob Kessler and Bert Bertelkamp a little bit last night, and it was like the flow of the game listening to Bert Bertelkamp was just more or less just like, well, this is what you want the Vols to do. Play the game in the paint because, look, eventually the 3-point shot is going to fall. And then it was just one of those situations like 3-point shot is going to fall. The scoring in the paint because, I mean, if you get Felix Akpara involved in it, Igor, anybody that's going into the post, you got something. And then it was nothing. Just one of them games. Kentucky got the Vols number right now the same way Rick Barnes has had Coach Calipari's on the back end.
Well, and the same way Mississippi State had Tennessee's number last year.
Sure did.
Tennessee played Mississippi State twice and couldn't beat them last season. Same way on the flip side, Tennessee had Alabama's number last year.
I was going to say, it's on the flip side, too. I mean, it's not just Tennessee that has these issues with certain teams, right?
Like the Vols swept Bama last year in Tuscaloosa and in Knoxville, and Bama still made a Final Four run.
Yeah.
So, again, if you're a Tennessee fan this morning, it's going to sound like coping for me, and I don't care, but like this isn't football. Yeah. We don't have to have a referendum on firing the coach every time you lose a game. Wes Rucker put this out yesterday. Tennessee has 5 losses. 4 of the 5 were to top 15 opponents. All 5, well, he says all 5 to NCAA tournament teams. I know Vandy's on the outside looking in at the moment. 4 of the 5 losses Tennessee has had were one-possession games, and 4 of the 5 losses Tennessee's had have been on the road. This is life in the SEC in college basketball. It is unfortunate for Tennessee and their fans that it's happened against their arch rival.
And that's why.
That's what I was going to say next. It's,
Right.
it's a rivalry
It's a
game.
rivalry.
At the end of it, too, like, for as bad and as toxic as we are, when that clock hits 0, those courtside Kentucky fans were waving the Vols off the floor. Like, it's supposed to happen and look like that, though, too. But that game means a lot. And they got a coach in Mark Pope that's reinvigorated their fan base and that team to beat that team.
Yeah. And that's why we talk about a lot. The tournament is so tough. And this is one of the toughest sports to make the Final Four, even because you have one bad matchup in the tournament and you're done.
Yeah, you're done.
And Slate talks about this all the time. Like, we're talking about a bad matchup during the regular season. Like, when you're in the tournament, it's one and done.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is interesting. Like, that's kind of what makes college basketball fun, but also frustrating.
March Madness. Why it's madness?
Yep.
Braden in Shelbyville up next to the phone, 615-737-1045. What's up, Braden?
Good morning, guys. How y'all doing?
Good morning.
Yeah, I got 2 busts for you. First, I'm going to comment on the Tennessee game. I think the issue there is both the games we play, we've got to a slow start, and our wings guards, when they get to the three-point line with the ball, they're just bottled up. So when they do get an open look, I think they're rushing it and just not, I don't know, they just seem rushed the whole entire time on offense. But my 2 busts I got, both people were compared to Tennessee Vols, and I think it's blasphemy. We got Ryan Leaf, bum. And we got Taylor Mays, bum.
Taylor
0 career interceptions. So I just want to say go Vols and still screw Kentucky. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you, Braden.
My man, baby. There we go.
Appreciate the call.
There we go. Goodness, Ryan Leaf. Yeah, it was him or Peyton, wasn't it? That was the conversation, him or Peyton. And did not work out, man. He is Mount Rushmore, I think, of bust, too.
Advantage Peyton.
Yeah, definitely. Advantage Peyton.
Taylor Mays compared to Eric Berry.
Taylor Mays.
Advantage Berry.
A big old dude, too. Big old safety, man.
No
That's
doubt.
crazy.
615-737-1045. There is a piece at CBSSports.com of anonymous scouts and personnel people reviewing the quarterbacks in the NFL draft. Plus, Dane Brugler of The Athletic has his first top 100. We'll tell you where he has the top 2 quarterbacks ranked and the scouting report for each of them as well. Coming up next. Hey, what's going on? It is Will Bowling for my friends at Lee Company. Hey, to all my facility managers out there, how are your plumbing fixtures doing? Do you have any clogs in a sink or two? Maybe you got an annoying leak, inconsistent hot water when you need it the most. Well, hey, no matter your plumbing problem, the team at Lee Company is here to help. For over 80 years, their expert technicians have been here to make your life easier and keep your place of business running efficiently. And when you do business for 80 years, you learn how to do things the right way. Lee Company, they are a member of our community here in Middle Tennessee. You see the Lee Company fleet of vehicles everywhere around the area. That means when you call them, they can be there quickly. Available 24/7, 365. Call Lee Company at 615-567-1000 or contact them online at leecompany.com. So take care of those plumbing fixtures. Whether it's clogs in a sink, maybe annoying leak, inconsistent hot water, give them a call, 615-567-1000, or go online to leecompany.com. That's Lee Company, all you need. RKW on 104.5 The Zone continues in hour 2. Scouting QBs in the NFL Draft. It is fun having the number 1 pick, and everyone's available to you. Breaking news for me. I'm Captain Obvious, like those commercials.
Yeah.
Everyone's available
Thanks,
to you.
Captain
You have the
Obvious.
first pick. But it is fun for us and for, I think, fans to look at all the options. And look, after last season and after the Joe Alt sweepstakes, that ended up in J.C. Latham, I promised myself, we promised ourselves, we would never fixate on just one player ever again.
No.
I mean, that is different when you have the number 1 pick. Sometimes you have that luxury. But even when you have the number 1 overall pick, especially this year, there is not a quarterback that deserves just fixating on them and not looking at other options. So Matt Zenitz of CBS Sports talked to 6 anonymous scouts who were surveyed on their top prospect. 6 scouts were polled and were asked, who do you personally view as the 3 best quarterbacks in this class? 4 votes for Cam Ward, who was voted second best 2 times. And then the 2 people who voted Cam Ward second had Shedeur Sanders first. So no weird Jalen Milrose number 1, Jackson Dart's number 1, no magic voodoo PFF wisdom getting in the way of this. 1 scout had, or 5 people had Jackson Dart as number 3 quarterback. 1 person had Jalen Milroe third. That's as weird as this thing got.
That's, yeah.
1 scouting source expects both to be picked, Sanders and Ward, in the first round, but added that he's, quote, not sure it's definitive that both will go inside the top 10. In regards to Sanders, a college scouting director has questions about his, quote, physical skill set translating, average size, and average athleticism, and that he doesn't have high-end arm talent. The scout who mentioned Ward explained what makes him great can also be a detriment.
Yeah. Like you said, it's obvious that they're number 1 and number 2 as it pertains to what you want out of those 2 quarterbacks. But looking at which one do you choose? I honestly feel like if you're saying, well, I don't know if Shedeur is going to have the physicality, well, the physical traits to make himself a good quarterback, the arm strength is in question and stuff like that. And then you go to Cam Ward. Like I played for a coach that lived by the, hey, I'd rather say woe than sick 'em. Like sometimes you think you can reel in the interceptions, the turnovers, the aggressiveness of going down the field until we witness Will Levis this year, okay? But we've seen other situations where that has been governed a little bit better. Josh Allen, I think, was one of those guys where you had to peel him back a little bit and say, hey, no, take what's in front of you. Don't have to be a hero every single time. And if you're talking about 1 versus 2 in Shedeur and Cam, I think Cam edges them out in this conversation as far as an NFL style quarterback, in my opinion, from these anonymous sources. And I actually do like this one because they got super specific, and it was just real cut and dry on how this interview was conducted right here by CBS Sports.
Yeah, I think it's a very true statement, though, in terms of both quarterbacks, starting with Shedeur Sanders, and he just spoke about maybe the average arm, the average size and athleticism. And that doesn't always mean you're not going to be able to succeed at the next level.
Efficiency.
Right. But I will say, too, about the arm talent, we've mentioned Joe Burrow's name, not completely comparing to Shedeur Sanders, but this was something that Brian Callahan talked about. And I think a lot of that, too, is relating to the arm talent. It wasn't at, the strongest level, even for Joe Burrow, and it still isn't that. And so I don't think that's the end-all, be-all either. But it is a thing, I think, with Sanders more than anything, is we've talked about, maybe the inability to know when to throw it away. He took a lot of sacks at Colorado, and I know his percentage of completions is way up there. But a lot of times that does make you question, how can you do it at the next level when it comes to trying to avoid sacks? As for Cam Ward, though, I completely agree with this, too. That's what we've talked about all the time. He has a high upside, and he can make things look really easy, and he can sometimes, be a little bit crazy when it comes to how he makes a play happen. And that's awesome because it's unscripted a lot of times, and it just comes with, knowing the game and playing it for so long. But at the other end, that can also account for why he's turned the ball over sometimes, why he's been reckless with it. And if that doesn't get cleaned up a little bit in the NFL, that could be a detriment.
Dustin on YouTube says comparing Sanders and Burrow at anything is absolutely ridiculous. I don't think so at all.
No, and that's a couple articles.
Bucky Brooks of NFL Media has already compared the two and says, I get it. Brian Callahan, your head coach, said that Shedeur Sanders has some similar traits to Joe Burrow.
Right.
So I think it's a good comparison, to be honest with you. I think it's a really good comparison. Guys that know when the ball needs to come out, which is a little bit bigger of an issue for Sanders.
Right.
Because he takes too many sacks. Oh. But guys who get the ball from point A to point B without all-world arm talent. They are not action figures.
You know who also didn't have really good arm talent in his pre-draft? I hate to say it, but Tom Brady.
Oh, absolutely.
It's always in hindsight. And here's the difference. So Tom Brady was a projected 5th rounder by Mel Kiper. I'm looking back at some of the stuff that he had also in his pre-draft in the early 2000s. He was a 5th-round pick. We're talking about a guy that's a potential 1st-round pick in Shedeur when we're comparing like what they said about him. Just real quick, a couple of people, they did the exact same thing as far as just evaluation of Tom Brady beforehand. One scout said, awful, not even on my board, weak. He'll make somebody a good husband or a good medical salesman.
Yeah.
Like, dang, what another one. One general manager said this about Tom Brady in his pre-draft too. Like him, just wish he was a better athlete. Like these are the things that come out that
we hear that about Shedeur too. He's not the best athlete.
Exactly. And there's another one that said the exact same thing back up about Tom Brady. Could be a number 2 in this league for a long time. Has the size, but not enough arm. Same thing you're saying. So it's a matter of, will you get time to grow for a guy like him? What will the offense be asking of a guy like Shedeur Sanders? Like, are you trying to drive the ball down the field? Because the thing about this, the Patriots were the kings of death by 1,000 paper cuts. And the system that a quarterback runs with this offensive coordinator and this team matters more than I think the physical attributes at time. If a guy runs a 4.4, that's a bonus. If a guy got a cannon of an arm, that's a bonus. What good is a cannon of an arm or a 4.40 if you don't know how to slide when you need to, or you overthrow footballs more than you need to also. So I'm not knocking Shedeur at all on his arm talent or his athleticism. The job of the quarterback is to what? Completions to the wide receivers. And all he need is enough until he figures out, I'm sure, his core, I'm sure, his technique. And if it's check down, go deep, heck, just have the arm ready when it's time to go down the field and drive the football. Right. It's an efficiency thing for me when it comes down to starting quarterbacks in this league. And that's what Shedeur is going to have to prove that he can do.
People in sports overcorrect a lot. What did the Titans just have at quarterback?
A cannon of an arm.
Physical traits, specimen, Mayo commercial, tough, going to run through people, athletic, big arm, can throw it 60 yards. Who of these two quarterbacks is the opposite of that? Shedeur Sanders. I think if the Titans were going from someone not named Will Levis to this next phase, maybe you're more likely to go with the more toolsy, physical attributes, make big plays, take risks, gunslinger type in Cam Ward. How much do you think that matters, what they just had at quarterback, and that they might overcorrect the other way?
I don't think it does, because when it's all said and done, and we had this conversation a bit yesterday, I really don't think it comes down to Brian Callahan's decision.
That sucks if that's true.
I think that he obviously will have a say in who his quarterback is, 100%, guys. But I think when it comes to this Titans organization moving forward, the front office and all the money and all the effort they put into putting together this brand new front office, except for Chad Brinker, they are going to trust them to make the ultimate decision, i.e. Mike Borgonzi, what he's done in Kansas City, the type of talent he's looking for overall. Because when it's all said and done, Brian Callahan might not even be able to fix it next year. And not saying he's going to be fired, but he's the next one on the chopping block, no doubt about it. And if you get your quarterback that your front office believes in, no matter who comes in, you still believe that can be the guy. And honestly, if you're Brian Callahan, I understand Shedeur Sanders might fit your quote-unquote scheme better. Yeah. But if you pride yourself in being a developer of quarterbacks, then you need to develop whoever you get.
That's going to be huge. I mean, it's going to be a testament, honestly, to his job and how he retains it moving forward, too. It's just that, like, what if they do pick one of these rookie quarterbacks, especially as the number one overall pick, if they move back to 3, how much time can you actually see him doing those things? Because I think the development of an offense happened throughout the course of the year, maybe 2 years. Like, the question I have is, you're talking about Will going in the opposite direction of Will Levis, the drive down the field guy. Does anybody have a problem with check down Charlie? You know what I'm saying? Like the quarterback that's, hey, 7 yards, I'm taking it.
I do if you don't have good players around him.
Okay.
Who are you checking down to? Ooh. Who's protecting said quarterback? I think Shedeur Sanders is going to have to land somewhere with a top half of the league offensive line if he's going to be successful, because he's not good at protecting himself. He takes too many sacks. You need to have some wide receivers around him that can take a 6-yard route and make it a 50-yard gain.
Yeah, 100%.
Titans don't have that.
Not right now.
So if you draft Shedeur Sanders, I don't think you can play him right away considering his weaknesses and his skill set. If he really is average size, average athleticism, takes a lot of sacks, don't ruin him by putting him behind this offensive line in 2025. Right.
I agree with you there.
Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a plus of this front office, too, because I don't think they care whatever anyone's done in history about taking a quarterback number 1 overall and feeling the pressure to play them from the start. I don't think they give a damn. I think they're going to do it the way that best suits this team. And if that does mean also bringing over a bridge for 1 year and letting this guy, whether it be Shedeur or Cam, sit for a minute, I think they're going to do that if they think that best suits their organization for the long run.
615-737-1045. Corey is in Hendersonville. First up with the phones. What's up, Corey?
Hey, guys. I just wanted to take a look at past first and second overall picks at quarterback and how they haven't panned out over the years. And I'm curious as to your thoughts whether it's actually that the player was not great or if it was like a victim of circumstance where they were just sent to an absolutely terrible team. Because when we look at some of the really good quarterback picks over the last maybe decade, you know, Mahomes was first round, but he was like 15th. Jalen Hurts was second round. Yeah. Brock Purdy obviously was the outlier at, Mr. Irrelevant. But I'm just curious as your thoughts, should we be trading back and looking at a quarterback maybe at the end of the first round or second round?
Thank you, Corey. I think in terms of overcorrecting and not making the same mistakes again, you just did that with Will Levis and it didn't work, so you're not going to do it again.
I think that's more of I hate to say this because this is like a basic answer, but honestly, a lot of that comes with just luck. I know that if a team falls in love with a guy and they maybe pick that quarterback, Jordan Love, let's say, too, is a good example. They pick them later in the first round or high in the second. Maybe they don't have as high as expectations, and sometimes it's just the luck of the draw with those quarterbacks that they end up being your long-term starter.
No doubt. And the other thing, too, is the guy that, like, reading this article, like, it's a lot of people feel like, these 6 experts or GMs, like, it feels like a lot of them want to, like, dive into the deep end on one particular guy, but they're not sure. You know what that guy is, in my opinion? If you did choose to move back and get more draft picks, Jackson Dart.
Yeah, I'm right.
Yeah.
He just threw a lot of wide open throws in that system at Ole Miss because they scheme so many guys just wide open that you never get in the NFL.
So what is all right, one NFL college scouting director said this: scrappy, tough, no major holes physically. That's just talking about the athlete that he is, you guys think? Like, and then the other side of it is what you're looking for out of a quarterback. And I'm not sure, Will, to your point, if it's the offense. His last thing said productive passer.
It's the offense.
It's the offense.
It's Hendon Hooker all over again.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It's not the same system as what Hendon Hooker ran at Tennessee, but it's pretty dang similar.
This is not drop back. He's assessing the defense.
Art Briles' coaching tree, tempo, wide splits. Guys are wide open, and the league was pretty clear on how they felt about Hendon Hooker through that. Now, granted, Jackson Dart's a different prospect. He played more years as a starter at a high level than Hendon Hooker did, who just had a couple of years at Tennessee and the 1 year at Virginia Tech. But so they're not identical, but the systems they're coming from are very similar.
Very similar.
And that's why I think, Moan, if you're even saying, well, we could go get Jackson Dart in the second, I still think
I wouldn't do it.
I still think Cam Ward and Shedeur are better. If you want a quarterback, you truly do, and you have the opportunity to go get a quarterback, then you just need to go get him at number 1. Like, why are we having this conversation of,
Agreed.
let's just go get a Jackson Dart at number 3. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me when we're talking about this draft.
If you're drafting a second, third, or fourth round quarterback, it's because you signed Sam Darnold and you think he's your starter for the next 4 to 5 years. That is the only scenario where I see them going with a later round quarterback they could sit and develop for half of their rookie contract.
Mm-hmm. And another reason I'm going to add this too on why I still am high on Cam Ward overall is the NFL is ever changing. And we know about how quickly a coach can be fired, an offensive coordinator can be new. Cam Ward has proven, and I know it's the college level, but he's had 4 different play callers, in his college career, and he's adapted to each one and been able to thrive. So he's been able to prove on that level too that he can adjust.
No doubt. Again, you rather say Wold and Sikkim when it comes down to his gunslinger style and how he gets, aggressive down the field. That's where, to this point, like having somebody that can fit the ball in tight spaces accurately is something that needs to be seen. I guess what you wanted out of Will Levis that you hope that you can get out of a guy like Cam Ward if you take him.
Dan Brugler of The Athletic has Cam Ward number 15 on his big board and number 25 for Shedeur Sanders on his top 100 at theathletic.com. Writes about Cam Ward, there is a looseness to his game that is both worrisome and exciting, but it allows him to buy time and create explosive plays. After playing in a wing T offense in high school, Ward has made noticeable improvements each season in college, which creates optimism for his NFL future. About Sanders, Dan Brugler writes, he is smart, tough, and accurate, which makes a great foundation for an NFL quarterback. I have no doubts that he can start at the next level. My concerns are more about his overall ceiling because of his average physical traits and mismanagement of the pocket. The draft opinions on Sanders are wide-ranging throughout the league, and my evaluation, Dan Brugler talking of him, seems to be somewhere in the middle. And that's at number 25, having him ranked there. So if he's got him in the middle, ranked 25th on his big board, we're talking about a guy that might still be ranked in the 40s on some big boards then.
Yeah. This is why you also got to be careful of who you choose to procreate with, because if Dion had an athlete of a spouse and he had better athletic traits, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
The guy I think of when I hear about all these things about Shedeur Sanders is Brock Purdy.
Interesting.
I think he's more of a Brock Purdy almost than a Joe Burrow. Is that fair?
That's what I
think that's an okay comparison.
Because Brock Purdy's a decent enough athlete.
Sure.
Like he's all the white QB athletic stereotypes. He's sneaky fast and sneaky athletic. So think of it this way. Would Brock Purdy be a successful Titans quarterback?
Would he?
I think he'd be fine.
Right now,
I don't think he'd be a top 10 quarterback in the league the way he is in San Francisco.
This is where you have to have the tools around him.
Yep.
So then ask yourself that with Shedeur Sanders. Would a worse version of Brock Purdy coming into the league be successful here?
Right. Not right now. No.
Not right away.
No.
Absolutely not.
If you draft Shedeur Sanders, he has to sit behind somebody else.
Until you build it up.
Cam Ward, I could go either way on. You just got to be ready for him to make a ton of mistakes. But especially if you draft Shedeur Sanders, I do not want him starting anywhere close to week 1.
Nope.
No, I'm not into that either. Like, and again, it's simply because the team isn't there. Now, the other thing that goes behind it is there's going to be a lot of people that be like, no, we don't want Shedeur here. At some point, you're going to want him on the field. Like, the fans will, again, buy into the team, buy into the idea that there's optimism and hope at the end of the day, and that's where it becomes problematic to where having a staff that says, yes, we are going to sit him no matter what the record looks like or what the play at the starting quarterback is, and let this team honestly just get better, because there's still a whole lot of holes to fill out. The whole right side got to be figured out, right? And then you also just need more weapons. What are you going to do with Tyler Boyd? Like, can he get on the same page with the guy that's down the field?
I don't think
like
Calvin
Calvin Ridley.
I don't know if he's gonna
I'm just
even
saying,
be
like,
here,
in general, like the pieces that you got to replace.
Right.
Can Calvin Ridley find cohesion with a quarterback too? So
sure,
that has to be also, we hadn't mentioned none this offseason. What can you do with Calvin Ridley with the quarterback that you choose to bring in if it's a rookie?
It's interesting. There's a lot of love for Jackson Dart, though.
I know.
From these scouts, which does not shock me.
An efficient passer, but that's also Shedeur.
Yeah, I know. It certainly is. I just think we're going to be having the same conversation about him that we were about Hendon Hooker.
Mm-hmm. You know what's interesting, though, is there are so many teams at the top that really do need a quarterback. So I do wonder if someone just gets, in a way, desperate. I mean, look at what the New York Jets are going through right now. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is done there. Who the hell is their quarterback right now? Like, I feel like there's going to be teams that are going to start getting desperate. I would not be surprised if Jackson pops up to the first round.
My only question and concern for Shedeur Sanders is this: will he throw the ball away when pressure's running down his face?
Is that something you can learn?
Hell yeah, you can.
So
he
then,
better
he
because
needs to learn it.
these hits are a whole lot harder in the NFL than they are in college. There's
Right.
more games to take more hits. So he posted yesterday his 71.8% completion percentage in college.
And the list wasn't too impressive.
No, it's not an impressive list of people, but it does boil down to this new age of quarterbacks where they will take a sack or run out of bounds to not have an incomplete pass. He has to take that 71 to me, 64%.
Yeah.
Right.
It's still winning, in my opinion.
In the NFL,
We got a question on YouTube that said, where did The Athletic have Jaden Daniels ranked last season on their top 100? Number 8 is Dane Brugler's ranking of Jaden Daniels pre-draft. He had Caleb Williams 1, Drake May 4, Jaden Daniels ranked 8th, and J.J. McCarthy 24th.
Okay.
So he had 4 quarterbacks ranked ahead of where he has Shedeur Sanders this year.
Yeah.
Sure.
That being said, different draft classes. Not all draft classes are created equally, not even close. But to all these points of like, oh, these guys could be Jaden Daniels. No, that Jaden Daniels was a better prospect than Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. No question. No question. 615-737-1045. Your thoughts on the quarterback discussion if you want to react to it. From the article, I thought there was an interesting quote about one guy we have not talked about at all at the quarterback position who one scout likes a lot as a long-term starting option at quarterback. We'll talk about him next.
Okay, I have a question for you. Are you worried because your home has been on the market for a while and you didn't have any success getting it sold? An expired listing can definitely be frustrating, but it doesn't have to be the end of your journey. My friend Bernie Gallerani with the Bernie Gallerani real estate team has proven marketing strategies to get your property in front of the most qualified buyers to get you top dollar for your home. Look, Bernie Gallerani has more than 200 five-star Google reviews and over $1.3 billion in properties sold. And he guarantees to sell your home in just 30 days or less, or heck, he's just going to buy it from you. To get started, all you got to do is Google Bernie Gallerani Real Estate or simply go to BernieGallerani.com.
RKW 104.5 The Zone. There was an update to the Aaron Rodgers saga in New Jersey yesterday. And we're going to react to it coming up in 15 minutes. Would you be willing to take Aaron Rodgers without all of the Rodgers baggage?
Would I be willing to take him?
We'll talk about that coming up at 8 o'clock. 615-737-1045, our number. So we mentioned before the break, we're talking about CBSSports.com's piece by Matt Zenitz about anonymous scouts talking about NFL draft quarterback prospects. There's one guy we've not talked about at all. We've talked about a lot of players. We talked about Tyler Shuck at Louisville, who, by the way, Todd McShay was very high on social media last night as well. What about Quinn Ewers, Texas? One scout says, like a lot of these guys, when he is on, he's on. Consistency has been an issue, but he has the arm to, I love this phrase at quarterback draft time, make all the throws. Can see him going anywhere between rounds 2 through 4, but who knows? You never want to have the feeling of a late slide with no Senior Bowl going into the draft. He could have solidified himself with Senior Bowl exposure, but NFL execs love quarterbacks who have had to play in big games consistently. That is what they have to do every Sunday. Quinn Ewers is a draft prospect. What do you think?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. And I've listened to our friends 3HL in the afternoons a lot. And one day in particular, they were talking about the breakdown from Greg Cosell on Quinn Ewers. And that immediately turned 3HL off of Quinn Ewers as being a guy that they would draft as a quarterback at least. And the biggest thing I think that Greg had mentioned, and you can always go and listen to the podcast, is the lower body mechanics, like the footwork, everything in terms of his lower body is just not great. And there's another thing in terms of him being patient in the pocket, guys. Like there's obviously a lot of times he bails some of those clean pockets as well. So I don't know if that is a fixable issue. I'm not to judge at that. I don't have the qualifications to do that. But it seemed to be a big enough concern in terms of his lower body mechanics.
Yeah. That's what I thought. I hate his throwing motion. He throws from the hip, too. I think Cam Ward throws from the hip also, but he's got a little bit stronger arms, it seems like, in my opinion. He seems like he grabs it like he's got a six-shooter or something throwing it from the hip or throwing an alley-oop or something like that. I'm no expert in it. It's just what I've seen in that game. The biggest issue with Quinn Ewers to me is he went on one of the biggest teams and had one of the best staffs around, and he transferred and did everything you needed him to do. His biggest issue was in big game moments, he lost them every single time.
Ooh. Quinn Ewers?
Quinn Ewers.
He beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. That's not fair.
First game of the season. We always throw that out, don't we?
No.
Yep. Yes, we do.
Not in terms of NFL draft.
Yes, we do.
No, that's harsh.
Yes, we do. Absolutely not.
Throwing out a game for playoff consideration is one thing.
This year,
but that tape counts for him as a draft prospect.
Georgia twice, Ohio State he lost, and not just lost, got rolled. The Georgia won the second time around SEC championship. I didn't think it was one of his best showings. That's the way I felt about it.
That was a big game.
He beat A&M. I'm talking about the big A&M wasn't a top 10 team.
Top 25.
Top 20, not a top 10 team. I'm talking about teams that are the tops of the tops. Quinn Ewers did not show up in those games, in my personal opinion. And that's one of his biggest flaws. Like, yeah, he can play big to a certain point, but his ceiling is lower. So if we're talking about a non-first rounder, yeah, 2 to 4 is good for him. But he's going to have to be surrounded the same way I feel like Shedeur will have to be surrounded early, too. And to be honest with you, there's a difference in the two, but I think Shedeur has the edge mentally. I just don't think Quinn Ewers is a guy that's going to have a high ceiling at all.
Curtis on YouTube says, Will wants Ewers, LOL. No, I do not. That is the last thing the Titans need is Quinn Ewers at this point. I've got the team for Quinn Ewers. I think the LA Rams in the 4th round.
Rams?
That's your heir apparent to Matthew Stafford. I think a coach like McVay could fine-tune a lot of the mechanics. I think you're going to see Quinn Ewers go somewhere with a good quarterback in their mid-30s, late 30s, and end up being a starter in 2 to 3 years. I don't know if it's going to work. I think a place like Minnesota's got a young quarterback, so I don't think they're in the mix for him. But a place like Minnesota with a coach like that can let him sit for 3 to 4 years. I think McVay, he would be the heir apparent to Matthew Stafford, and I think it would make a lot of sense. I think it would fit.
Yeah. You know what we're saying then? Scheme matters.
Of course it does.
And a lot of you can be misdrafted at a lot of paper or drafted to the wrong spot. And
I mean, if Will Levis had been drafted to the Rams as a 3rd or 4th round pick, he could have had a successful career 3 or 4 years in.
Malik to Green Bay is a better fit than Malik in Tennessee.
Sure.
It matters, but people get this. They get up in arms. Oh, he's a system. Yes.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes is a system quarterback.
System quarterback.
Yeah. Every single successful quarterback. Joe Burrow, system quarterback. Yeah.
Tom Brady, system quarterback.
That's right.
Lamar Jackson, they shut down a system and rebuilt a system around him. System quarterback that has the ability to make very dynamic plays because he's just that type of Josh Allen, the exact same thing. Like, this stuff is normal, and we make it seem like it's a bad thing. Systems.
To that point, you willing to change your system for Cam Ward?
Am I willing to change it?
I don't think you have to.
Here? Anywhere, yes.
Completely change it. I mean.
But it has. What? Yeah.
Because he's not athletic in terms of being Patrick Mahomes. Like, I don't think he's Patrick Mahomes by any means. But I do feel like if you bring him in, you get him just maybe a couple more weapons over time. Like, what are you really changing? Like, he can make the plays that maybe are not scheduled. Like, I don't feel like he has to fit in just one certain system because he does things a little bit different.
I'm still confused. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, fit him in what system do you think he needs to be in?
Because you think Brian Callahan, because he had a Joe Burrow, like that's all Brian Callahan wants to do with this offense is let him sit back there and be protected, and like they don't want off-scheduled plays?
I think off-scheduled plays happen because something broke down, not because of the system. Like, you make off-scheduled plays because 1 wasn't open, 2 wasn't open, then I got to figure something out.
But
That's
why
just playing
can't
backyard.
Cam Ward fit in Brian? That's what, because we don't even really know what Brian Callahan's system is because it's not worked out here yet. We've not even seen what it is.
So that's my point on Cam Ward, or not a point. That's not even my point to be made on this one. The thing about Cam Ward is this to me. He can go to any system. It's a matter of crafting an offense for him.
Right.
It ain't about, okay, this is a running style offense for him. It's about, is he going to drop back and deliver the ball when you need him to? I think what you're saying is like off schedule for Cam Ward is a part of his play. That's not a part of his play. That's a part of his style that, look, when it breaks down, he can create. Like, the system is developed for the guy in general. What you're talking about is, as I said a second ago, is just let him play ball.
Yes.
Like, that's my thing.
Yeah. So
I don't think we're talking about a system.
Do you
with
think
Cam.
Brian Callahan, though, wants just a guy that's going to play his ball, like do everything?
As a rookie, you have to. Absolutely, you have to. Unless you're just going to.
This is more than just a rookie moving forward. I mean, you want this guy to be your long-term guy.
Yeah.
That's why I asked the question. Are you willing to build around Cam Ward's strengths?
Well, yeah.
Putting Cam Ward in a Joe Burrow type offense is not fitting an offense to Cam Ward's strengths. Getting the ball out of his hand quickly, on time, timing, rhythm, throws is not what Cam Ward is best at.
Will Levis wasn't able to do it either.
I know, and he didn't work. So what's to say that it wouldn't work with Cam Ward too? That's why I asked the question. I think you'd have to change some things. 615-737-1045. What if you brought in Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback, and not the person? You made him just be a QB and nothing else. We'll talk about that next.
What's going on? 8 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. The Vols fall to Kentucky last night in Rupp Arena, 75-64. Igor Milicic finishing with 16 points, 1 rebound shy of a double-double. Zakai Ziegler, the leading scorer for the Vols, with 17 points and 6 assists. With last night's win over 5th-ranked Tennessee, the 2024 Kentucky men's basketball team now has the most wins against an AP top 15 team in program history. They sit at 7 such wins with 7 games to go, 2 of which will come against top 15 Auburn and Alabama teams. The final head coach opening has been filled as Saints agreed to terms with Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. The 35-year-old Moore is on to a different job for the 4th straight season. This will be his first head coaching job in the NFL. Looking at potential coaching hires to fill his staff, former Chargers head coach Brandon Staley has emerged as a serious candidate for the Saints DC job under new head coach Kellen Moore. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show and hour 3 of RKW starts right now in studio, kicking off your Wednesday. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling. Rhett Bryan coming up at 9 o'clock. We'll talk Titans free agent veteran quarterback options with the executive producer of Titans Radio. And in 15 minutes, some Tennessee-Kentucky hoops conversation with our good friend Grant Ramy of VolQuest and On 3 in the building last night for Kentucky finishing off the sweep of Rick Barnes and the Tennessee basketball Vols. We'll dive into how that happened coming up in just a few minutes. But guys, there was an interesting report yesterday from Diana Rossini of The Athletic about Aaron Rodgers. She says that the Jets told Rodgers he couldn't appear on Pat McAfee's show anymore if he wanted to be with the team next season. Said, quote, "You're not going to do Pat McAfee interviews anymore." They had a conversation with him of, if you want to stay here, here is how we would want it to be. So this, to me, Diana Rossini says, is Aaron Glenn getting control back. First of all, good for Aaron Glenn.
Yeah. You got to do that if you are taking over the New York crazy people Jets. Like, that is a dysfunctional franchise, and I'm not afraid to say that. They need to get things reeled back in there, and this is where you start. And I understand, like, Aaron Rodgers is a future Hall of Famer, but the control he had in New York was unreal. And I do think that it caused them not to be as successful as they could be, Will. Oh. And Will, you posed the question, would we be okay with having Aaron here?
Aaron, the quarterback.
Right. Not the crap that comes along with Aaron. So let me make that clear. That is the question. It's not Aaron, the guy that comes with all the baggage. Is would you like him here with what he's technically done on the field? I will say this, guys. If I'm just keeping it on the field in terms of what he did last year, it's not actually bad. And you look at, he played all 17 games after, getting hurt
Achilles
in 2023. He passed for over, he had 3,897 yards, completion percentage of 63. He had 28 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. And if you look at those numbers compared to his last year in Green Bay, it's actually better than the numbers except for his completion percentage. Everything is actually better. So I don't think he wasn't productive enough last year. I just think there's a lot of stuff that interfered with other players even on the field. We've heard Garrett Wilson and their riff that went on, and they don't have a great relationship, right. And that's one of your top wide receivers. So I think if you didn't have the baggage with Aaron and you stuck to the numbers, I think he could be a good one-year bridge quarterback.
Me personally, I said no to bridge quarterback, entertainer, and everything. Absolutely not. not with where this team is, because you're asking a guy to come in and be a leader type, and every place that he's been as of late at the end of it has not been his best quality. It's not been his, he may be, more cordial with guys because he's got to be a good teammate as far as personalities, but as far as making guys better, no, absolutely not. You mentioned Garrett Wilson. No, this team doesn't even have one of those. I mean, they got, respectfully Calvin Ridley, but there's a lot of teaching and guiding that you're going to ask a guy like him to do, and I just don't think he's capable of doing it right now in his career, and it's just proven to me that we love the name more than we do the actual player right now. And if you're trying to be, in my opinion, more serious about what you're asking him to do to reset this program, I'd much rather go with a lesser quarterback with a smaller name that's going to help you reset this team as opposed to do it my way. And yes, I'm with Aaron Glenn if that's the case. And it's probably a monetary attachment that he has with Pat McAfee as far as doing the show. But you can't, in my opinion, you shouldn't be doing stuff like that when you're part of a losing team. It shouldn't be that.
But that's the question. If that is all pushed out of the picture for the Titans, because I don't want him. Let me make that clear. I don't want Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers does come with all the baggage. That's the point, though. If we could take all the baggage away, would you want him still as a quarterback in terms of what his production has been? And just according to last year, I would say if it was just production, I'm okay with him being a bridge for a year.
I'm not. I think it just really is a stopover to, or you speaking about systems, in the last break. I just don't. I think you have to do too much to surround yourself with a guy like him that you might only get for a year, as opposed to, hey, look, it could be. I think I saw somebody put Jacoby Brissett in a situation, right? I feel better about having a Jacoby Brissett or one of these other guys as opposed to an old dude that you got to take way too much care of to put him in a system just to say, hey, we got our guy.
Yeah, and that's the downside of it all. I mean,
it's a no for
you
me.
have an offensive line that's not shored up here yet. So for really any quarterback, it's a down moment for the Titans until they build that back up. But especially, I'll agree on that note, a 40-year-old quarterback, 41-year-olds, whatever he is, with that type of line, that could definitely hurt his production.
If you could guarantee you got Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback, without all the stuff Aaron Rodgers, the person, brings, I would take him in a heartbeat.
Right.
But there is no way you can guarantee that because Aaron will always do things his way.
Right.
He's always going to bring in Alan Lazard. He's always going to, which that's not even the worst part. But he's going to do appearances. He's going to say stupid crap. He's going to be a problem at times in the locker room as a distraction. Some of that stuff is not his fault. It's just the presence of him being there. But if you could just give me the quarterback play, I'd take it.
Mm-hmm.
I would.
Have you guys seen who the odds-on favorite is to land Aaron Rodgers next year?
I've not, actually.
No, I haven't.
This is per draft.
We should
2 days ago.
Who do y'all think it is?
I know who it is.
Raiders?
Pittsburgh.
Who do you think?
Oh, God. I would say, I'll say Giants.
The Steelers at plus 200 are the current favorites to land Aaron Rodgers. The Raiders are plus 300.
Okay.
And who'd you say, Will?
Giants.
The Giants are plus 1,200. The Titans plus 850.
Okay.
Giants are way down there.
I did hear ESPN a couple of days ago. I can't remember the analyst. There were a couple of them that said they thought this was the best landing spot for Rodgers right now. Actually, Mina Kimes was one of those.
Mina Kimes was, yeah.
If there was some place that could keep Rodgers in line, you would think it would be Mike T. For me, I would sign up for this if I was a Steelers fan.
But you're a Ravens fan.
I don't know.
That's exactly why you're signing up
That has
for it.
nothing to do with this. That has nothing to do with this.
I don't see those two fitting in real well.
What's wrong with you, man?
So Mike T is the new, Belichick could get him in line coach.
Right.
Is what you're saying.
Honestly, I think Mike T should be safer than he is perceived to be, but if they hire Aaron Rodgers, I would project Mike Tomlin to be fired after
He's
this year.
getting, I'm with you on that one. He's got billboards around Pittsburgh now.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Is that not crazy to anyone else? Wouldn't everyone in this room bend over backwards to have a coach like Mike T?
120%.
You trade for him.
He's just got to get his quarterback. He gets his quarterback again. They're a Super Bowl contender like that.
Struck out on Kenny.
Literally that quickly.
Super Bowl
small hand.
They are wandering through the wilderness since Ben Roethlisberger got old.
Not lying.
And I remember Ben saying, he was the ultimate you'll miss me when I'm gone quarterback. Ben Roethlisberger was. He was fine. He was never a top 5 quarterback. He was definitely top 10, though. for a long time.
Yep. And then lo and behold.
Look at me saying nice things about the Steelers.
Right. I mean, and I'm going to come right behind you and do it. If you go listen to Ramon on Ben's podcast, Ben talks about that, where it's like they felt like they were trying to push him out and replace him every year at the end of his career.
100%.
And it's somebody that they should have been appreciative of.
Yeah.
You know who else is a quarterback you miss when he's gone?
Ryan Tannehill.
Yep.
Ryan
Who
Tannehill.
doesn't seem to be coming back to
We
the NFL.
wanted to get rid of a veteran
he's done.
stopgap quarterback, and now we are looking for a veteran stopgap quarterback.
There you are.
One note on Twitter, we got a tweet, give proper credit. D. King writes in and says, FYI, Shedeur Sanders also had several offensive coordinators throughout and has performed well with each. Teron Davenport wrote a piece about this at ESPN.com the other day. Shedeur Sanders had 7 offensive coordinators in college.
7?
That's wild.
That's impressive. 7.
That is impressive.
Ended with Pat Shurmur. But Sean Lewis took the San Diego State job, the one in 2023, and then Pat Shurmur in 2024.
So real quick, I guess a question we need to discuss later. What are you willing to buy into? Athletic attributes or the mental execution?
It sounds like you just filled one of our topics for tomorrow. Well done. Coming up next, Grant Ramy, VolQuest at On 3. Why does Kentucky have Tennessee's number? Why is Kentucky the only team that can make threes against the best three-point defense in college basketball? Grant Ramy answers those questions, or at least tries to, coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster for Wellness Institute. Good people, listen to me, man. What I'm going to tell you, man, is important to your health and just your overall well-being. You guys know my body took a beating in college and in the professional leagues, which is why I'm trusting the best in the business to work on me, man. Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley at the Wellness Institute, they are in the trenches fighting to help you battle the back pain and neck pain and knee pain, man, that you're just living with. I know a lot of you probably think, well, Ramon, we didn't play football. Yeah, you did in high school. You probably lifted, go to the gym. Even to you moms, man, like you lifting kids, just doing day-to-day stuff around the house, even you working out and just running, like those things, that pounding takes a toll on your body, man. And right now, the Wellness Institute, man, I walked in there on Monday. They have a state-of-the-art facility, man, with the spinal decompression machines that help you with me, my neck, my back. Like if you got bad knee problems, they got you there too. And here's the cool thing about it. You go to their waiting room, no more than 5 minutes and you're in the back. They don't overbook you. They don't overschedule you. They care about making you better. And here's the other thing. It's not one of those, hey, this is just a chiropractor. No, absolutely not. They want you to be able to be pain-free so where you don't have to come see them. It's not about making money for them. It's about making you feel good. And right now they have a special. It's their behind the lines offer where it's a $37. Yes, that's a flip of my number. I was 73. $37 consultation. And that includes a doctor visit, x-rays if you need them, and a first treatment. And if you need more in-depth treatment because you're part of the Zone family, they will give you 50% off spinal decompression treatments. Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley just want you to get better. Reach out to the folks I know. You can call them 615-246-5009 or visit painisbad.com.
RKW on 104.5 The Zone continues in studio this morning as Kentucky sweeps Tennessee. Not something I had on my bingo card this college basketball season. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, joined by VolQuest's Grant Ramy, who was in the building last night in Lexington for Kentucky's win over the Vols. Good morning, Grant. How are you?
First of all, I thought I was coming on because we were talking about draft bus.
You can give us yours.
Yeah, who was your the guy you thought would be a stud who ended up being a bust?
Well, how long is this segment? How long is
You got all the time you need.
What you got then?
Okay, Justin Fields.
Yeah.
I thought Mitch Trubisky would have a pulse. I thought Kevin White could run a route. I thought Leonard Floyd would be decent. I thought Cedric Benson would be the man.
Cedric Benson out of Texas.
In case y'all didn't know, but Grant is a Bears fan.
Yes.
The funny thing is, I watched Cedric Benson as a Bear, and then I went to Cincinnati for the Bears-Bengals game, where Cedric was a Bengal and went for 232 against the Bears and completely embarrassed the franchise. Had his own personal revenge game.
Hey, how that hurt feel?
That's the life I've lived.
The pain.
That's the life I've lived. That was a long drive home.
Everybody hurts, Grant.
They do, man.
Everybody hurts.
Golly, Texas had a run on running backs like that for a while. That's
And
crazy.
the Bears have had a run on those kind of picks for a while.
That's what I was about to ask you.
That's
So,
fair.
is it a player problem or organizational problem here as Bert plays the music?
It is a loser problem. We are losers. It's just what we do. We draft losers. We collect losers. Anybody, as soon as they step in the building, welcome to being a loser. Ben Johnson, the day he got the job, he walked in the facility. I was like, welcome to being a loser, buddy. Get used to it.
So you're not confident in Caleb Williams either?
I'm not confident in anything with the Chicago Bears. Ever.
This is awesome.
Ever.
This
Ever.
is great.
Ever since Devin Hester took that kickback to start Super Bowl 41 in Miami in the rain against the Colts, it's just been disaster after disaster since then.
Been all downhill. This is the same Grant who I have a group text with him and Mike Wilson we just talk about the Braves. And literally in 2021, when that playoffs began, Grant was telling me about how they were going to take it to Game 5 of the NLDS and lose in the first round. And then what do we do? But we lifted the trophy by the end of it. And we're still probably feeling the same way about our Braves as pitchers and catchers report today.
So the biggest lie I ever told myself was if the Braves won a World Series, they could go 0-162 every season for the rest of my lifetime, and I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
And I was mad. I was mad the next April when they lost.
Next year. I know. It's like when they lose 1 of 162 and you feel like the sky is falling.
That's
great.
terrible, man. I hate that for you, Grant.
Well, that's how a lot of Tennessee basketball fans are feeling this morning. Seamless transition after getting swept by Kentucky. Grant, what is it about Kentucky that allows them to make threes against a three-point defense that no one else can make threes against in Tennessee?
I don't know. Voodoo magic, whatever it is, keep doing it because and there's been a lot of open threes. There are a lot of open threes early in Knoxville a couple weeks ago. That's part of the problem. They also had a lot of tough shots in Knoxville a couple weeks ago. They hit some tough shots last night too. They hit some open shots. So I don't know if it's the penetration that Rick Barnes was talking about being a problem last night. I don't know if it's getting them in rotations or whatever it is. It might be, I was listening earlier, Ramon made a good point. Like, it feels like what Rick had against John Calipari in terms of having his number a little bit. It feels like Mark Pope has had Rick's number these first two matchups. Like, I don't think it's a great matchup for Tennessee. I think Tennessee should be a better basketball team based on the analytics and what they've done against other teams. But when those two teams match up, man, Kentucky can't miss shots. Tennessee can't get enough stops, can't hit enough shots themselves. It's just been a problem. It's been a big problem.
It is so interesting how that works, isn't it? Because at the beginning of the Rick Barnes era at Tennessee was the good, not great team. Kentucky was often elite, but Tennessee would find a way to win those games and play out of their shoes in those games. It almost feels like it's flipped, and this might be a Kentucky team that, since they can't play defense, it's going to be hard for them to string together a 6-game winning streak and win a national title, but they're going to have the bragging rights and the rivalry that Tennessee had, Grant. I never thought I would see the day that those roles flipped. I also never thought I'd see the day that Kentucky had only tried 2 free throws with 8 minutes left in a game in Rupp Arena, which also happened last night.
What's crazy is Tennessee went 11 for 45 from 3 in the first game. They went 3 for 18 last night. everybody not named Igor Milicic went 0 for 15. And Tennessee still had, it feels like, a million chances to win both of those games. I mean, Tennessee had a 3-point lead with 6 minutes left. They were up 1 with 4:50 left, I think, after Sakai scored. The game in Knoxville felt like they had a million different possessions where if you just hit a shot, it's going to completely change the momentum of everything, and you can find a way to – I've seen Tennessee win those kind of home games so many times during the Rick Barnes era, including against Kentucky teams of the past. But I don't know what it is with this matchup in particular, if it's just Mark Pope. And maybe defensively he has a good game plan because Kentucky's very average defensively, but they pack the paint, they give up the three-point line, they dare Tennessee to beat them with jump shots, and Tennessee just has not been able to do that. I mean, Kentucky has looked very human against a lot of teams. Alabama scored 100-something in there. Florida scored 100 at Rupp. They lost 4 out of 5, with that one win being the one in Knoxville a couple of weeks ago. So it's not a great Kentucky basketball team, but they look like the Harlem Globetrotters when they play Tennessee.
They do, man. VolQuest, Grant Ramy with us today talking Vols basketball. Grant, there's a conversation we had when you have something really, really good and don't realize it, then you feel like you get something else really good, and then it's not there yet. And that's Dalton Connect to Chaz Lanier. It seems to me, and I want to know how it looks to you, man, like his ability to create and get open. And, hey, if, the three-point shot isn't falling, his ability to get started seems to be problematic for him. And these, the Kentucky games, there's been a few more to where he's found his struggles, man. How do you view his case with the Vols this year since he's one of those big transfers?
Yeah, I mean, he's got to show up in those kind of games. You have to have some of your best players make some of their, have some of their best games in the biggest games of the season. And he just hasn't been that against Kentucky. He hasn't been that in a couple of these tough road games, Florida, Kentucky, others, where he's got to score it. I mean, the comparisons to Dalton Connect were never really fair because they're such different basketball players and they score it in such different ways, play different positions. Obviously, the build's different. Chaz is a shooter, and if he's not making shots, he doesn't really do a ton to help you. Like, what was so impressive what he did against Oklahoma Saturday was he was scoring in different ways. He was getting to the rim, he was hitting mid-range, he was hitting transition threes. Those shots didn't show up. Like, when he doesn't hit early shots, it feels like he struggles to get going. And that's a problem, obviously. The good news, as the season kind of winds down, you don't play on the road in the NCAA tournament, in the SEC tournament. Those are neutral site games. So you hope a guy like Chaz shoots it better down the road, because a guy like Chaz can win you a basketball game with a 5-minute stretch where he hits 3 or 4 threes that we've seen him do a lot this season, including what he did in the first half at Oklahoma on Saturday. So he's going to have to bounce back because Tennessee's going to have him play better basketball and make more shots, crunch time and stuff like that.
Man, every year writes his own story, right? And, what you expect to happen usually don't. And sometimes there's somebody that comes out of the woodworks and he's like, oh, yeah, we love him. That's Igor Milicic. Like, he seems to be playing himself. And I don't know how much of an NBA prospect he is, but he's got a unique skill set. He's big. He can move. He can defend. He can shoot. How big of an addition has he been this year?
He's been huge. He's been huge specifically since he came back from that illness after missing the Florida game last week, whenever that was, February 1st, I guess. And I don't know, the way he scores it, he's a guy that can get to the rim, and he can pull up in mid-range, and he can hit the three, and he's been playing pretty well there too. He rebounds, he blocks shots, assists. Like, he does a little bit of everything, and he's going to have to be that guy that continues to do a little bit of everything. I mean, I think Rick Barnes has said that he's kind of a pressure release valve. When he's productive in multiple areas, it takes so much pressure off of everybody else to be productive in those same areas. So you saw that in the second half early when he scored, I think, 13 of the 16 in the first 11 minutes of the second half. Like, Tennessee's going to have to get more out of him down the stretch, because they're going to have to need somebody to step up and take over late in games, which we didn't see last night in Kentucky.
Grant Ramy, VolQuest.com. You can check out his great work and On 3 words writer in his bio, at Grant Ramy on Twitter. So, Grant, when it comes down to it, plain and simple, the Missouri game, the only SEC game, which you mentioned in this article, in which Tennessee has topped 80 points this entire season. Obviously, there needs to be more offensive production, but is it that simple of a fix, especially if you're going to make a deep run in the tournament? Can they do it by then?
They can, because I think we've seen them score it pretty well. I think they shot it a lot better in the second half last night at Kentucky. That 7-minute stretch they had against Missouri in the second half, they scored 31 points in 7 minutes after scoring 23 points, I think, in the first half of that game. They scored it. They shot 69% from the field at Oklahoma Saturday. They're capable shooters. They can score the basketball. It's just a matter of hitting shots when you have to hit shots in these big games. Maybe that's a rivalry problem and a big game problem. And Kentucky brought that out of them, but they're going to have to fix that moving forward because you play your most important games at the end of the season. Everything's on the line in the postseason. So I think they can score it. You know they can defend against everybody that's not Kentucky, apparently. But they've also shown that they can score it. So it's going to have to be, they're not as bad as they were at Florida or the first game against Kentucky offensively. They're not probably as great as they looked at Oklahoma. It's about finding the middle in there and how consistently can you play better than you play worse, I guess.
We're talking hoops this morning with Grant Ramy of VolQuest. So according to you, Tennessee basketball probably going to lose that number 1 seed projection. That's according to Joel Lenardi, I should say. You wrote about it. But how important is finding their way back as a number 1 seed when they've never had that yet?
It's a big deal. Look back at last March, and I thought it wasn't going to be that big deal if Tennessee was a number 1 or a number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. And then, because it was kind of a similar situation where that 4th number 1 seed was kind of up for grabs going into conference championship week. Tennessee was one and done in the SEC tournament. That opened the door for, I think it was North Carolina to get the final number 1 seed. I can't remember. But Tennessee got the number 2 seed. But they ended up in that bracket with Purdue. And when you get to the Elite Eight, there's Zach Edey standing in your way. If you're a number 1 seed, it's a completely different path to a possible Final Four run. So it is a big deal. I mean, it feels like Auburn's going to be a number 1 seed as a lock. It feels like Alabama should be 1-2. It feels like everybody thinks Duke's going to be a number 1 seed. But it still feels like that number 4, that 4th and final 1 seed is kind of up for grabs. And you better take care of business if you're in that conversation and do everything you can to get a number 1 seed because it drastically changes that March path.
Grant Ramy of VolQuest with us. Grant, do you see Vanderbilt presenting some of the same matchup concerns for Tennessee on Saturday that Kentucky does?
I tend to give this team the benefit of the doubt when they're playing at home. Obviously, sure. Kentucky kind of erased that benefit of the doubt a couple of weeks ago, and I thought Tennessee was very much asleep at the wheel and fortunate to come back and beat Missouri the way they did last week and end up holding on to win that game. Vanderbilt, the thing that gives me kind of confidence with Tennessee is they came back from down 16, had a chance to tie that game if he had a free throw with 2.8 seconds left, I think it was, left in that game. And Vanderbilt's kind of struggled a little bit since then, losing some games. So Tennessee, you have to take care of business at home. The SEC is too tough to drop home games and expect to keep playing well. So Tennessee's going to hold court at home and find a way to win some road games.
Finally, and most importantly, pitchers and catchers report today, Grant, are our Atlanta Braves, I should say, winning the NL East this year?
No.
Okay.
Of course not. Why would you even ask? You can't ask me that question and expect a good answer.
I know my audience. He is Grant Ramy of VolQuest and On 3, writing about Tennessee basketball there. Follow him on Twitter at Grant Ramy, our favorite Bears fan here in Nashville. Thank you, Grant.
Thanks, y'all. See you.
Thanks,
yes,
Grant.
sir. Grant Ramy.
I feel his pain, man.
With us this morning.
I know a lot of Chicago Bear fans.
Yeah, it's like
They're
that.
all the same.
I love him.
That's like that. Well, Chicago's had they've had some good.
Back in the day.
Not a quarterback.
It's an awesome city to go play.
Oh,
man.
a great city.
That's
Great
what's-
people. I like the people.
Yeah.
It's just the team.
They've never had a 4,000-yard passer in their franchise's history. So.
Never.
No.
That's insane.
No. For all the talk about Trevor Lawrence not living up to his expectations,
At least he's done
he has
that.
done something a Bears quarterback has never done.
That's insane.
I'm not making that up, right? Like that is the thing. Yeah. No, they've never had a
Wild.
quarterback throw for 4,000 yards. It's like the biggest insult stat about their franchise. I'm going to get a text from Grant in like 5 seconds if he's still listening to the show.
I believe Jay Cutler got the closest and had like 3,800 yards or something like that.
Chicago
Do
Bears
we just
legend.
need to admit there are some franchises that have a quarterback curse? Because I honestly think there are there's like 5 or 6 that just can't get it right ever.
Can I introduce you to the Tennessee Titans?
Exactly. I think that we're
one
now
of them.
putting them on the list.
So do you view McNair as an Oiler first before Titan era is what you mean?
That's a good
I'm
point.
not
That's a
just
good
I didn't
point.
mean to
He's
say
a
like you
Titan.
said he wasn't, but like I'm asking the question. Like where does it start?
Other than Steve McNair
Yeah.
and Ryan Tannehill, the Titans have had quarterback problems.
And Ryan wasn't drafted by the Titans.
So. If he retired, I would, if he went into the Hall of Fame, I'd hope he say Tennessee. You know what I'm saying? To that point. But you're right. He
Steve
wasn't.
McNair?
It was no. I said if.
Ryan.
If
That's what I'm
Ryan.
saying.
Yeah. If
Ryan,
Ryan,
I don't know if you're talking about Steve.
You'd want him to proclaim, well, I'm a Titan, is what you would want him to say.
It's actually interesting what he would say because he played
he's so
more.
far
he
from the Hall
played
of Fame.
more, I think, in Miami technically.
If Grant's still listening, he's going to love this stat. Jay Cutler is their highest passer with 3,800 yards in a season. That season, he also led the league in interceptions with 18. So the best passing year by a Bears quarterback. They also led the league in interceptions.
He played. I pulled up his football reference also. So he was 5-10 as a starter that season.
Jeez.
In the best statistical season. Well, maybe not the best, just the most yards in Bears history. And if he'd played a 16th game, he probably would have had it. He was only 188 yards away.
Ain't bad.
Good old
from 4,000.
Smoking Jay.
That ain't bad.
Smoking Jay.
That's his. That's
Have
his
you ever
nickname?
seen the GIF?
Yeah, I with no, I have not seen
the
him.
SIG on the side.
He actually has one in, or somebody made
There's
it.
just
Someone made it.
Did that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Content of just saying like he always looks like he's just
Miserable.
Okay, I was incorrect. Eric Kramer in 1995 has 20 more yards than Jay Cutler.
Oh,
Sure.
Wow.
Caleb Williams this year, the fifth best passing season by a Bears quarterback.
Caleb will get 4,000.
Good for
Yeah,
him.
I agree.
Probably this year.
Yeah,
To be honest with you.
Caleb
With Ben
will get it.
Johnson, they might not make the playoffs, but
He could
surely
he could
he'll-
get there.
I mean, if he threw for 3,500 yards behind that offensive line, he'll get 4,000.
Let's record this moment and then get back.
I think there's an argument for Caleb Williams having the best season a Bears quarterback has ever had
Seriously.
statistically. The top five, everyone had over 20 touchdowns, Caleb Williams included. He is the only one to have less than 7 interceptions. Everyone else has double-digit interceptions.
The thing, like, for all the hate he gets, like, he didn't have a bad rookie season. He just wasn't Jaden Daniels.
Right. He just had. I mean,
He
that's
got
what
sacked
you.
a jillion times.
That's what you get when
68
he was
times.
hyped up that much, though. I mean, he's also listed as generational talent, just like Trevor Lawrence. That's a lot to live up to.
Bryce Young, same conversation.
It came back around for him for sure.
I mean, he was benched.
Do you forgive those two guys though because of how bad their front office and team was though too?
Yeah, I mean, you're surrounded by what you're surrounded with. And now I do think the Bears had a lot of talent up there last year, so I think Caleb needed to do something.
Just not on the offensive line.
Right.
Well, if we're talking about it, well, it's been stated, and personally, he did a lot. It's just they sucked as a squad.
Yeah.
Like, if we're going to be like, I balled, y'all suck. Like, he could say that, essentially.
They got rid of Eberflus, their defense got worse. Because Eberflus is a great defensive coach.
Yeah.
He just does not manage the offense.
They should have changed that coaching whole thing before Caleb even came there.
They should not have kept Eberflus.
That was stupid.
Speaking of a team who has the number 1 overall pick and could have fired their coach and didn't, let me introduce you to the Tennessee Titans. I mean,
why does it always come back around?
Is this too dissimilar of a situation than what the Bears were in last year?
That's the reason I have so much hesitation about what pick to take here. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very
Because
much.
we've talked about it again. If you were going to cut one, you cut the head of the snake off.
The history of this situation that he's in with Coach Callahan is not in his favor. It's just not.
615-737-1045. Phil and Matthew have been waiting on the phones. We'll get to you guys when we come back. Plus, there is a story in the NFL about a fan base that might be even crazier than the Philadelphia Eagles fan base. We'll talk about that next.
It's Ramon Foster for Secure Lawn. I'm getting ready to talk to y'all about this getting closer to that year where spring is right around the corner. But you know who you are, though. Right now, you're probably walking around your yard projecting on what you're gonna do when the weather breaks. Right, you get mad when you see weeds. Whenever the grass does start to grow, you just obsessively care about your grass. Your spouse and friends tell you that you talk about your grass more than anything else. Well, I got the company for you. They are Secure Lawn, man. Secure Lawn wants to provide a prime service to all of its customers. What that means is this, man. It means the team members are properly trained and prepared to provide a prime service, supplying their customers with expectations that will make them lifelong customers, man. Secure Lawn isn't interested in a bunch of sales either. The business model includes never giving their customers a reason to leave. Listen, if something's not right, they're going to make it correct for you by any means necessary. Another cool thing is this. They've been here in Middle Tennessee for over 20 years, and lawns are of what they are good at, all right? If you need your trees trimmed, shrubs planted, you need to call somebody else because Secure Lawn doesn't do all that. They want your grass looking like something out of a magazine. Family owned and operated, been here for over 20 years, punctual, quick response time, all the things you love about those good local companies like Secure Lawn. To get a head start on your yard, call them at 615-893-8455 or go online to securelawn.com.
RKW 104.5 The Zone wraps up hour 3 on your Wednesday. Rhett Bryan coming up shortly. Going to talk about veteran quarterbacks who could be options for your Tennessee Titans. 615-737-1045. Phil and Franklin, let's talk about Mike Tomlin. Go ahead, Phil.
Morning, guys.
Morning.
Kayla, I'm sorry. Ramon.
Yeah.
My VFL baby.
Yeah.
But more importantly, my Steeler brother.
Yeah.
So, my old man growing up in Memphis was an electrician and wired Three River Stadium. He'd fly. He'd go up there on a bus and come back. Brought me my first Myron Cope Steeler terrible towel.
Yes, sir.
Over the years, I still got it. It's cleaned up, vomit, tobacco spit. One time I got in a bind, used it for a diaper. I lived through Cliff Stout. I lived through Blackledge, Woodley, Malone, just to let you know I got credit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Tomlin.
I'm listening.
Look, everybody loves him because he's a stand-up guy. I don't question his character at all. But, I think what most people see are these one-liners that he gets on press conferences and that sort of stuff. And, my father-in-law does that, and I wouldn't.
You love him, is what you're saying.
Run my garden hose.
Yeah, you still love him.
All right, so I'm going to put you on the spot right in front of Bert and the sweet Lord and everybody.
Absolutely.
Right now, Ramon Foster, if I gave you a choice between Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh as being your head coach.
I'm picking Mike T. Because here's the thing. Here's the difference. This is what you
Thank
want
you, Phil.
right here.
Appreciate the call.
So I appreciate that, Phil. Here's for the Fire Tomlin crowd, though, too. You want somebody that has it as a head coach, that can command the room and motivate his guys to get going. You want a guy that knows how to win and has a method of distributing his plan to others and his coaches. You want somebody that, at the end of the day, you know that if it's me versus you and I got the ability to beat you, I'm going to do that. He carries that week in, week out, year in and year out. For the folks that want Mike Tomlin fired, that are Pittsburgh Steelers fans or just want to see him gone because they're tired of the messaging and tired of the idea that, hey, you need to go find somebody else. The question I have for you is who? Good teams do this.
Phil says John Harbaugh.
John ain't leaving.
No, I know.
Neither one.
I know.
I know. I was quick to defend right there. But that's on me right there. I got defensive. What I would say is this. What you want as a team is this. The ability to sustain a culture of understanding how to win. That's why Cam Newton called his Carolina Panthers a team full of losers. At some point, the mashup of the right players, the right quarterback, and good luck plays a part in winning. Can we agree on that?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Missing on Kenny. The years that we were close to beating the Patriots. Kenny Pickett, yeah. The years we were close to winning or being a good enough team to beat you, Jacksonville got us with a super team that we had. That was a mismatch matchup, right? Blake Bortles, whoever their quarterback was at the time, wasn't a better quarterback than what we had. Le'Veon getting injured at times. AB being out in playoff games. It's Martavis Bryant getting suspended. Like, these are the operations of a team. Now, here's what I would tell you. Fire him. There will be teams that fire that coach to get him, is what I would tell you.
Yeah, 100%.
It ain't a matter of, he's a bad coach. Sometimes you got to have the Jimmys and Joes, which is why Kansas City sold out for Patrick Mahomes.
Sure did.
Jaden Daniels. I mean, think about it. Look at the teams that are good.
He needs to get his quarterback.
Got it.
Needs to get his heir apparent to Ben. They haven't found it
That
yet.
is easier said than done for any head coach in
Any head
franchise.
coach.
Could I broach an option if you guys were, and this is 100% serious, no chicanery for me.
Okay.
Marcus Freeman. If you were going to fire Mike Tomlin, you go get a young, energetic guy who is familiar with the area, obviously with Notre Dame. I think Marcus, that would be a hire that I would go, dadgummit. They have gone 4 for 4. I would, as a rival, would be upset about that hire. Another thing that I think sets you guys back, not to pile on, but was the Shazier injury, where you had the head of your defense, and then I believe the following year, once they did not know if he was going to play again, you guys had to trade up to the 10th overall pick to draft Devin Bush. And that, again, moving assets to try to stay in place where you are is something that can limit really good teams.
Yep. You were voting out of necessity, not out of just, we can just grab another one.
Matthew in Franklin wants to talk bridge quarterbacks. Go ahead, Matthew.
Hey, good morning, everybody. God bless you.
Morning.
God bless you, too.
Let's look at it like a used car lot. I'm going out there and I need to buy a new car. Boy, they got this Rolls Royce. It is just a lux. It's beautiful. It's everything. But it's got slick tires. The engine's got 500,000 miles on it. I don't know. Oh, right next to it, what is that? Well, that's a Toyota Land Cruiser. Those things run forever, but it's brand new. It might have problems. Might take me a while to learn how to drive it. I believe I'm going to jump in that Toyota and let them keep that Rolls Royce that's named Aaron. What's his name?
Thank you, Matthew. In this analogy, Aaron Rodgers is a 2002 Rolls Royce with 200,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
So do you want to drive a Rolls Royce for a year, or do you want to take a risk learning how to drive something else that's brand new that's not as nice with respect to Toyotas? Toyota makes
Maintenance, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, it is.
Swifties are crazier than Eagles fans. Changed my mind. Did you guys see this story?
Boy. Yeah.
So C.J. Gardner-Johnson went at Travis Kelce, essentially told him in as many words, you should have stuck with your other girlfriend instead of Taylor Swift. That did not go over very well with Taylor Swift fans, who have taken to Yelp to give 1-star reviews to C.J. Gardner-Johnson's mom's restaurant, King's Grill in Rockledge, Florida.
Yep.
According to the New York Post, the high volume of inauthentic reviews was actually flagged by Yelp. And then a ton of Eagles fans went and gave them a bunch of 5-star reviews saying, I love this place. Best food ever. Chiefs suck. Go Eagles. I think Taylor Swift fans might be the only fan base that is crazier than the craziest sports fans.
Yeah, I think they're pretty nuts. I mean, they will ride and die with her. And when it comes down to it, you want a loyal fan, but this situation is a little bit wild. Like going on to someone's establishment and just putting nasty reviews. Like that's someone's life. I mean, look, she probably has money now that her son is in the NFL, but still, that's her livelihood.
It's too far.
Yeah.
It's over the line.
Like, that's what she takes pride in.
What are we doing?
Yeah, that's way too far. This is one thing to trash talk, but also too, CJ, like women, kids, like personal
Leave
stuff. Leave that out. Yeah, just go at the guy. Go at the guy. Don't do that. But in this era of trash talking, it is spicy, boy. Y'all just better off fighting. These days, I feel like dudes met at a club in Miami and fought.
Right.
Like, don't do this because you're dragging other folks into it, specifically your mama business.
By the way, Travis's ex-girlfriend, Kayla, was actually on the field with the Philadelphia Eagles in this situation.
She posted a video saying they said there's still room on the bandwagon if y'all want on.
Isn't she a media personality, though?
Yes, she is.
I guess she is, and I didn't know
sports.
that.
Yep.
Yeah, she's petty, too. It's just messy.
So somebody on Twitter said, this proved to me I'm not hating at my full potential.
Right?
I love that.
Okay, I'm into that.
It's pretty good.
Yeah,
Coming up next, Rhett Bryan joins us for his weekly visit in studio after this. What's up? It's Will Bowling. I want to update you with some exciting news from my friends at Brentwood Hearing Center. They always have the best technology on the market to help you hear as well as you possibly can. And that includes the Phonak Sphere. It's dedicated to helping patients hear well in situations when there is background noise. If you're at dinner at a noisy restaurant, you've been with friends at a party, or you're even at a sporting event, you want to hear that conversation clearly going on next to you, and that background noise, it just tends to drown it out. Maybe if I'm not talking about you, you know that family member who I'm describing right now, that parent, that grandparent, who, let's face it, cannot hear as well as they used to be able to. Let Brentwood Hearing Center demonstrate this industry-changing hearing aid technology for you, which also connects directly to your phone and your television. Give them a call at 615-377-0420 or visit them online at BrentwoodHearingCenter.com. That's 615-377-0420. Brentwood Hearing Center, better hearing, better life.
What's going on? 9:02. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I am Robert Walsh. The Vols fall to Kentucky last night in Rupp Arena, 75-64. Igor Milicic finishing with 16 points and 1 rebound shy of a double-double. Zakai Ziegler, the leading scorer for the Vols, 17 points, 6 assists. With the win over the Volunteers, the 2024 Kentucky men's basketball team has now the most wins against AP top 15 teams in program history. They sit at 7 such wins with 7 games to go, 2 of which come against top 15 Auburn and Alabama. The final head coach opening was filled yesterday as the Saints agreed to terms with Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. Looking at a potential coach hire for his staff, former Chargers head coach Brandon Staley has emerged as a serious candidate for the Saints DC position under new head coach Kellen Moore. And a big announcement coming today to the Buck Rising Show. Make sure you're around at 11 a.m. for that announcement. Now to Rhett Bryan. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour number 4 in fourth quarter of your Wednesday morning RKW right here on 104.5 The Zone with a full crew in studio. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling. Robert Walsh is our producer, and the executive producer of Titans Radio is here. His name is Rhett Bryan. Good morning.
Top of the morning to you.
How are you doing?
How many of us have invested in canoes in the Mid-South? Because I feel like we're going to need them with the weather
for all the
we've
rain.
got. I mean, I forget what we're supposed to have today, but Saturday, not great, Bob.
Not great, Bob. You know how I know it's baseball season?
Because it's raining.
Because it's raining.
You're getting texts of cancellations.
Yeah.
We're going to have to do a quadruple header.
My kids.
Rain makeup.
My oldest, I think, got a scrimmage. My youngest, I think, got something this weekend, too. And I was just like, yep, on par for Tennessee. The rain will come during the start of baseball season.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What's the most amount of games one of your boys have played in one day?
And one day, it was this past summer with Miles. And every single day, it was morning, midday, afternoon. Like, the most you should play is 2, but
triple headers every day?
Almost every single day.
Huh.
Yeah. And not just that, it's hot in Florida.
That's
rain
a lot of
pop-ups
Gatorade and
anywhere.
sunflower seeds.
It's a lot of just noise,
Or bubble
okay?
gum.
It's a lot of noise, and where's the AC? That's what that is.
You just got a look in your eye when I mentioned those triple headers under the Florida sun.
Listen, no, what's worse is you get the late game. There we go. I know. There we go. 3 o'clock game.
story.
Heat of the day in the South. I don't care if you're in Alabama, which one we go to, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky. Don't matter. I can't call them Kentucky no more.
Unfortunately.
I know, unfortunately. But 3 o'clock start of the game. First game of the day. What are we supposed to do with these kids all day long? All right. So many bullpens and like batting cages you can go to. 3 o'clock start. And then play 3 to 5. The next game, 8:10. Okay, and then there's a delay because why? There's always a delay. Game don't start till 10 o'clock. No, you people who facilitate these tournaments. You people, yeah, I'm racist right now. You people, okay? You people who run these baseball tournaments. 2 things real quick, all right?
You need to get something off his chest.
Yeah, here we go. You people that run these tournaments, no kid, absolutely no kid, especially the ones that are like 13 and younger, should be starting a game at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And better much, should not end the game at 12. If you can't get the tournament, get the doggone money back to the parents, okay? We understand y'all in this to make money. And to you dads, you fence callers, and moms too, all right? Fence callers, the ones up on the fence. Johnny, hit the ball. Go to the cages with your kids before the season starts. Get in the cage on the automatic pitcher and see if you can hit that 55 miles per hour ball. I did it.
That's true.
Which is why I'm telling
That is
myself,
true.
shut up this year, okay? I don't care about the pitches, nothing. Let the kids have fun. If you didn't make a D1, don't expect your kid to make a D1 or be better. Not necessarily,
All right.
okay?
It's
What I'm getting at
Bowling.
is Let the kids have fun. We ruin it way more than the
That's true.
kids quit, okay?
Yeah.
They know they had a bad day. Let them have it. But you people that organize baseball tournaments, if the game is starting at 9 o'clock, I'm pulling my kids from here on out, okay? That's terrible.
You
no
heard it
kids
here
should have
first.
to do that.
And this TED Talk on youth baseball.
Brought to you by Ramon Foster.
This TED Talk on youth baseball is brought to you by Ramon Foster. We were glad to attend.
Yes, we were. But a
love
lot
it.
of that you said is true.
Grab a T-shirt at the
Coming
door.
from a baseball,
Like
know,
11-year-olds
background,
starting
yeah.
a game
Yeah,
at
that's-
9:45.
It's ridiculous.
It's way
too
I
late.
agree.
And we're 3 hours away from home.
Texas condition, El Paso.
El
Thanks.
Paso. Sorry, Rick. This is your segment.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I would not envy
give
your
the money,
position
give
there.
the gate money back. It's okay, okay?
Mm-mm.
All right, I'm
I
done.
love it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Time for Rex Nuggets.
No, I enjoyed it. It was great. I love it when you go on rants. It makes sense. Rhett, our topic got the people this morning going. The one NFL player you thought would be great, but turned out to not live up to those expectations. As much work on the NFL draft as you do, is there anyone that comes to mind, both new school and or old school, who you think of when you think of guy you thought would be great who wasn't great in the NFL?
Well, newer school, I think have gotten a lot of answers from all of our listeners about is Trent Richardson from Alabama. Like that was,
Yep.
I mean, he was the 2011 Doak Walker Award winner. He finished, I think, third in the Heisman that year, and he just never. And I think there's some injury things there because he was, had a lot of carries at Alabama. Yep. But that's one. But mine is old school. So I am going with Lawrence Phillips, running back, Nebraska.
Ooh.
Now, Lawrence Phillips he was something else in college. His freshman year, 1994, they won the national championship, 1,722 yards rushing. 6.1 yards per carry in his college career, 33 rushing touchdowns. Now, flash forward the next year in 1995, quite a bit of trouble in the off the field and was suspended for 6 games, and then pressure from boosters, from what I understand. Tom Osborne did play him in the bowl game, and he did very well in that. But he had lots of issues off field as one of the reasons why he never really panned out. So anyway, flash forward to he decides to forego his last year in college, 1996. He's the 6th overall pick of the St. Louis Rams. And they were so confident in this pick, even given what had happened to him or what he had done in college off the field. They, that same day, traded Jerome Bettis to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Wow.
Gosh. Wow.
That is a statement of we're confident.
Think about that now.
Are you?
I'm very
Dang.
serious. You can look it up. He ended up playing in 35 career games, 1,453 yards, 14 touchdowns, 20 of those starts. And here's the thing is, he had quite a bit of demons himself. So he was hanging out in bars downtown St. Louis till wee hours in the morning, the day of a game. Wow. And so this is Dick Vermeil, who has come out of retirement and is coaching the Rams. And he wants to cut him because he's like, I've given you a million chances. And he ends up calling Jimmy Johnson, who, let's not forget, was the coach of the Dolphins in this window of time, post-Cowboys. And he tries to come, back and forth. He has a couple of runs with some other people. And then he ends up, having some other bad decisions off the field, and he ended up dying in prison. It was, but he was a boss. I mean, if you go look up college running back, look up Lawrence Phillips, because he was a dog.
And that was, like you said, in the heyday of Nebraska.
Yeah. And he's the one, I had forgotten about this when I did a little research when y'all gave me the homework assignment. So his last ride in the NFL was in 99 with the San Francisco 49ers. And in week 3 on Monday Night Football, he missed an assigned block that got Steve Young hit and with his career-ending concussion.
No.
Because the Titans played him the next week, week in Candlestick in what was Jeff Garcia's first career start. And the Titans lost that one on I think it was a hook and lateral at the end of the game. That was my you're covering the NFL moment.
Yeah.
When I'm going down to the field to test the parabolic mics to see, make sure we got good sound. and I see Jerry Rice warming up on the field at Candlestick. I'm like, yep, this is the NFL. This is something else.
What was that place like,
moment.
by the way? There's so much history in that stadium.
From a broadcast standpoint, not great.
Okay.
From a player standpoint, not great.
Yeah, it was very, very
Yeah.
antiquated, outdated. It needed to be put in the ground.
You smelled the history. It was so old.
Sure.
Where was it lolocated in
That's
relation
what I
to
was
San
gonna
Fran?
ask.
It was actually in the Bay Area.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't in, what is it?
Santa Clara.
Santa Clara.
Because that
It's
is
like
not
an hour
close.
and a half
It's
away.
like 45
No,
minutes.
it's actually in the Bay Area. But yeah, it was not. There's a lot of nostalgia there, but I'm telling you, the broadcast booth, it was like had a sliding glass door like at your grandmother's house going to the back porch. And it was so small in there. Like I was spotting for Mike at that time.
Yeah.
I stood up the whole game. There's no place for me to sit.
Right.
Like it was like we were in a phone booth.
What's the most unique broadcast vantage point that you have had in a booth in your career with Titans Radio? I'm putting you really on the spot. You could take the break to
The
think about
most
that if you want to.
unique or like the best or like define that for me as far as the unique part.
Let's compare notes and we'll do it when we come back.
Yeah.
I think Houston's super high up.
Well,
So is New Orleans, isn't it?
Indy too,
Yeah, New Orleans. But New Orleans has a field that you can see it a little bit. But I feel like Houston, you're like.
Houston and Indy are 8 stories up.
Yeah.
We'll do that with Rhett when we come back. We'll also talk about some veteran quarterback options in free agency for your Tennessee Titans with the executive producer of Titans Radio, Rhett Bryan, after this. Hey, it's Will Bowling for my friends at Nolensville Road Auto Mart. If you're looking for cars, you can see the words buy here, pay here. I'm here to tell you that the folks at Nolensville Road Auto Mart, they are different for a few simple reasons. They have been doing Nashville business for 61 years. And like me, they are Nashville natives. They understand this market. They understand you and me, and they only sell clean title cars under 12 grand. So if you're new to town, you're looking for that place with the local touch that is a place you can trust, they have certainly got you. Or maybe you are just looking for that first car for the 16-year-old, that new driver in your family. Well, they can certainly do that for you too. And if you don't want to take my word for it, check out the Google reviews. They are excellent, and that's saying something for a car dealership. They got one location, Nolensville Road, close to Thompson Lane. They will get you in and out in an hour or less. And the best part, they're the oldest buy here, pay here in Nashville. They work with your own financing if you've got it as well. Flexibility, transparency, and honesty. That's why I recommend Nolensville Road Auto Mart. Give them a call, 615-242-1279. That's 615-242-1279. RKW on 104.5. The Zone continues here in Hour 4. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling with Rhett Bryan in studio. Going to talk about some veteran QB options for the Titans. But before we get to that, Rhett, I asked you before the break, what is the most unique? What it really meant was, what is just the most challenging broadcast setup that you have had in your time with Titans Radio?
Before I answer that, by the way, he's bumping us back with Steely Dan.
Yeah.
I'm in my window of binge watching, catching up on stuff that I didn't see during the season.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a great documentary about yacht rock on HBO Max.
Oh, cool.
And Steely Dan was not happy that they are mentioned in that genre.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're
He would want just rock.
Yeah,
he does not want to waste away again.
Well, they're different kind of fellas anyway.
Yeah.
Very eclectic, and they're just absolutely ridiculous with what they put their session players through in their recording sessions. So it was no surprise to see that that Donald Fagen said, nope, don't like that. I can't say here what he said in that documentary.
I'm sure you can find it online.
HBO.
Someone was not a fool to do the dirty work.
That's
put them in that
correct.
Yes.
There is a nice use of verbiage.
I love that song, by the way.
The most unique, and it's got to be Hard Rock Stadium, Miami Dolphins. It's in the corner, and it is opposite. So when someone's calling the game, it is opposite of what you're seeing on the monitor. It's like everything's in reverse, but it's a corner. And in the first couple of times we were there, like the longest game in NFL history we did, there was no windows to open. So you used to have a pretty good booth there, and then obviously, like a lot of things, they strip those out, make luxury suites, and move the broadcast people somewhere with a worse advantage and viewpoint.
Sure.
Because it's about the dollars. I get it.
Yeah.
But that is by far the most unique one / worst one / I don't like it. But, hey, what can I do about it, right?
It sucks. Because I imagine that's got to be challenging when you are like describing a replay even. Yeah. And if you are watching the replay, everything is opposite what you would be saying.
Like I said,
the continuity of it has got to stay the same.
If we're calling a Miami Marlins baseball game, it's perfect because it's right behind home plate. It's a corner. It's perfect.
Totally.
But that's not the case.
What was that stadium like when they shared with the Marlins? Pro Player Stadium? Or it's the same.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Stadium.
Yeah.
Just pre-renovation.
Old heads like me knew it as Joe Robbie Stadium.
Right.
But yeah.
I always think Pro Player Stadium.
Yeah.
Is the name of that one.
Yeah.
And now they just have another stadium where no one goes to that.
Yeah.
The Marlins.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
It was fun to watch the Orange Bowl there.
full.
It's just not close.
Now, I'm going to tell you, and
Miami.
I'm going to give Bert's team some love here. The best vantage point in outside of Nissan Stadium is Baltimore.
Okay. Look at Moan's
I'm
face.
serious.
Ramon refuses to give any
Moan gave
credit
him
to
the
the
side eye.
Baltimore
That demonic
Ravens.
place. Hell no.
Even off the air.
I kid.
Off the field,
kid.
I
I mean, it's for what we do.
Yeah.
It's mighty good.
Well, I just love the
that.
story of Coach Mack in the divisional round waving to people that were like 5 feet away from him after the Titans won that game.
Oh,
over
now
over
the
in
crowd,
playoffs.
we
can
always have
touch
the windows open. You can touch the people on the back row, their
That's
seats on the top of
wild.
the head.
Yeah.
Well, there was a story after that divisional playoff game, the next season. I forget who is it that is the color analyst on Ravens radio with Jerry Sandusky. And that's a different Jerry Sandusky.
not that one.
Great dude. This Jerry Sandusky is a fantastic,
broadcaster.
and he's a really good broadcaster.
Really good.
Unfortunate name.
I think it was one of the Ian Badejo guys that played for one of the Ian Badejo brothers that played for the Ravens. But anyway,
Bert's nodding
there
his
was a lady who was very heavy into the libations and was intoxicated and tried to crawl into the booth during a game.
serious?
You can hear, probably find it on YouTube, but he's like, you can hear the color analyst going, hey, lady, stop. You know, she's trying to crawl into the booth.
I'd love to be in a booth
That's
in situations like
I would
that.
love to see what Coach Mack would do in a situation
Me
like that.
too.
Keep your powder dry.
Like,
Yeah.
hey, oh, look, you got some analysis for me? Come right here. Let me just give you this headset.
I was
I love
about
it.
to say
That's
something.
great.
We
I
might
love
do
the
that
stories.
actually, but I would actually ooh-wee, I would die if he did that because
that's right.
there's no delays in this game.
No, there's not.
Gotta be careful. There's no dump button.
No, there is not. All right. So we are looking at veteran QB options as the draft process continues. I know you and Mac are continuing to watch the film and do all of these things. And I think it's a relevant conversation regardless of what the Titans do in the draft because if you draft Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, you are likely still signing a QB that you may still plan to start right away or have an open competition and things of that nature. As you look at the veteran QB options, what stands out about this group that will be available to the Titans or who stands out to you above the rest initially?
So I looked at a sample of 4 guys, and there's several free agent quarterbacks. And one of those it would be a potential free agent quarterback with some finagling with his contract, and that would be Matthew Stafford. You know, they're talking about maybe he doesn't get a new deal done and is moved on from. But the 4 I looked at, Sam Darnold, obviously, with what he did with Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And then I looked at Justin Fields, young guy, has had some starts.
Mm-hmm.
And
unless you talk to Grant Ramy about that one, and he don't.
Oh yeah, he's already on his bust list.
That's right.
Daniel Jones, who was on the Vikings practice squad for a good chunk of last year.
That's the 3HL pick for Babs and Slay.
Right.
It is,
and then just
yours too.
And Matthew Stafford. So that's the 4 guys I looked at because. There are others, just looking through the list here, Jameis Winston's unrestricted free agent. But, Joe Flacco, he's 40. Andy Dalton, he's 38. Trey Lance is with the Cowboys. He's unrestricted, but they haven't, nobody's figured out exactly. Right. And Jacoby Brissett. And that was the other thing in this free agent stuff I pulled from Over the Cap. Sam Darnold played 99.4% of the snaps for the Vikings and had a nice year. It was just the playoff game is where it hit an abrupt end. Jimmy Garoppolo's unrestricted free agent.
I had him on my list
right.
over Jimmy G.
So, that's another one to look at. But, yeah, I did a comparison just looking at their career stats, career percentage, completion percentage, and what their 2024 looked like, how many games they missed. And I don't know, which one of these is the best bridge quarterback. You could say Sam Darnold for recency bias because of how well he did. But that playoff game, 18 of 41, 166 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions,
right,
and a 31-9 loss. Here's the other part of this, and obviously we don't know what Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker and company think of not only what they have, which currently the only quarterback they have under contract is Will Levis, and what Mike Borgonzi's we got an idea about what his philosophies and thoughts are because he was there when they drafted Patrick Mahomes and traded up to get him.
Yep.
And that was a guy that was in the air raid offense and did very well in college, but had some question marks, right? And so you hear in the opportunities that we've had to speak to or hear Mike Borgonzi, he talks about that color coding system of drafting, and that is, I think he certainly uses a more modern version of this. But Mike Giddings is a guy that started that. He was a longtime coach and an evaluator. In fact, he was one of the first pro personnel people in the NFL. He did it for the Broncos in the late 70s. But he had a service called, I think it was Pro Scout or Scout Pro, that I think is still operational. And it would be equivalent to everybody getting analytics, statistics, and things, that teams could look at with thumbnail descriptions, free agents, all of those things. And so you heard Mike Borgonzi in his introductory presser and even follow-up opportunities where he talks about a blue prospect. Blue being a blue chip guy you cannot pass on, the generational talent he talked about. And obviously we don't know what their opinion of Cam Ward and or Shedeur Sanders or whoever is, but just looking at this draft stuff, Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter are blue prospects.
Mm-hmm.
Now, neither one of those are quarterbacks. But if they're going to stay at one and they try a bridge quarterback, I think those are, the two guys that you would consider. And then, taking into consideration that it takes two to tango and you need a trade partner.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And, but a bridge quarterback, what you need is a repeat of recent Titans history. You need somebody that's like a Ryan Tannehill. I mean, Ryan Tannehill did very well. Now, that was a Derrick Henry thing and using some RPO type stuff and, but, I think most anybody you ask, they're not crazy about the quarterbacks in this draft and necessarily the free agents that are available in this thing. So, I mean, this is the job that Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker and company are tasked with. But Sam Darnold certainly is one I would think about. Justin Fields, just because of the age involved. And I'm looking through these guys. I mean, Justin Fields, he has a 61.1% career completion percentage.
And is I believe, 1,000-yard rusher in a season as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you could be you could lean into being a run-first offense. We're going to run the ball. We're going to try to be one of the top run offenses in the league and double down on that with who you have in an offensive line that can run block a little bit. And a back in Tony Pollard and another one in Tajay Spears who are solid.
Yeah, so career 77-80 passing, 45 touchdowns, 31 interceptions, passer rating career 83.9. In the games he appeared in for the Steelers this year, 1,106 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick, 65.8% completion percentage, passer rating 93.3. So, his touchdown percentage, 3.1%, interception percentage, just a tick over 0.5%. His sack percentage, 9.9%. So that's something to consider in this. But, and I'm intrigued by Daniel Jones.
Totally.
As Coach Mack would say, he is not an empty chair.
No.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody is always willing to look at someone and say, hey, that's a, reformation project with whatever. But I look at his career numbers here, 16,652, 78 touchdowns, 54 interceptions.
Right.
Completion percentage for his career, 64%. Passer rating, 83.7. His sack percentage, 8.5%. Interception percentage, 2.1%. Touchdown percentage, 2.3%. I mean, so the turnovers have been an issue for sure. And he's had some games he's missed. That's the other thing I looked at in this, just trying to compile some things. He's missed some time with an ACL and a couple other things.
I have a question, Rhett, or anybody to answer this in the studio. So with them wanting to come here, though, with some of these guys we're mentioning, especially like a Sam Darnold, who might want a longer-term contract, because you look at the situation the Titans is, I think they'd like to get their quarterback in the next 2 years. Even if they don't get him now, to draft a homegrown guy, I feel like that's part of building from the foundation up. So is that a thing where you would maybe only be able to get a guy that's going to come here for a year that would be willing to sign a shorter contract?
I mean, it remains to be seen for sure, but first of all, the one thing that we discount because we all live here is Nashville is, a lot of people have called it the It City.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it still is or not, I don't know, but Lord knows enough people still seem to be moving here.
Yeah, buddy.
And you heard that in Mike Borgonzi when he was introduced to us as the general manager. But yeah, there's a greater picture involved in here, in my opinion. I mean, you've got a new building opening up in 2 years, and you've got to get more than 3 wins, however that is. And if it is through a bridge quarterback and, building up roster around this person, or whether you think that it is, Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, you've got to shoot your shot. But, I think the overall reaching theme here is that you are arcing upward as you open up that new building in 2027. You've got to have something going in the right direction. Mm-hmm. And, last year's just not a whole lot went right. I mean, it's more than just quarterback. I mean, team turned it over, 33, 34 times? Can't do that.
Right.
That's not all the quarterback.
No, no, absolutely not.
Right.
I'm looking at real quick too, like you're talking about this transition quarterback. What do you do this year? Like, do you go get a Justin Fields? Like, the thing about Mike Borgonzi and what he did in Kansas City with Alex Smith, being a part of that is what I'll say too, because I don't think he was a GM. But like, they kept Alex Smith for 4-5 years before Patrick took over.
Yeah.
So like, it's not like you got to be in a rush through this process to say, hey, we got to find the next guy for the future. You mentioned a second ago, like you might have to just take your time with this. And like a lot of it's just, if you're picking at 16, moving up 3-4 spots to go get your guy the same way. Like, I feel like this process, to your point, getting ready for 2027 is somewhat sped up. You feel like you're up against the wall trying to find your guy. But if you do if you sign Justin Fields before, the draft, you at least say to yourself, we got him for a minimum of 2, maybe.
Sure.
Right?
And I think the other part of it, too, to your point about leaning into a running offense, I think there's going to be a lot of evaluators and coaches that think, okay, you know what? A college offense in the NFL might just work because Jaden Daniels did it pretty well with Cliff Kingsbury and the Washington Commanders.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying everybody can duplicate that and it's a cookie cutter factory, but everybody thinks, maybe we can do some things like that. But yeah, the other part of this that I'm wondering about bridge quarterback or draft pick in this, Mike Borgonzi was a part of that organization when they took Eric Fisher #1 overall.
2013.
And didn't, see quarterback. And you're right. They had Alex Smith for a while, and then, they had Patrick Mahomes sit with him and watch that last year he was there and then turn the keys over to him, and here we go.
Yep.
And I don't know what people will end up saying about Cam Ward in this, but it is my growing opinion that Cam Ward is the best quarterback in this draft. And some people will say it's Shedeur Sanders, but I do believe it to be Cam Ward. And there are some tendencies there that make you think he's not Patrick Mahomes, but he has some tendencies like that. He has some athletic prowess that he shows that show little things like that. There's only one Patrick Mahomes, so don't get me wrong. But and I guess that goes to the evaluation within Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park and whether they believe that he might be the guy you can't pass on.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the blue prospects, the blue chippers in this, it's Abdul Carter, the pass rusher from Penn State, and it's Travis Hunter from Colorado. It, I think, probably is a corner. Because I think he's better suited for that. And he's going to try to pound the table on having more snaps on, both sides of the ball. What do you have, 1,460 some odd snaps?
Wild.
I mean, it's crazy. And with injury being such, probability, I think you want to scale that back. Have him package where he's a third or fourth wide receiver, fine.
Right.
But I think a corner is probably his better suited traits.
Again, it's crazy looking at some of these numbers and things you don't realize happened. Daniel Jones in 2022 ran for 700 yards and 7 touchdowns.
Yeah, Danny Dimes had some wheels now.
That's why they call him Vanilla Vic.
Vanilla Vic.
I like the idea of him. You don't have to overly commit to him.
He's 27. He's only ever played for the Giants. If you're looking at someone who has only been one place, and I know he was at the Vikings. I mean, playing football, right? Like he went to the Kevin O'Connell School of Cast-Off Quarterbacks and has gone through that course. But we've never seen what he looks like anywhere but New York. And New York ruins quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. That's fair to say. And that's the thing, right? You mentioned the interceptions, right? And the turning over the ball. And I know Callahan, at the end of the season, that was one thing that said, we cannot continue to do that, right? We cannot put the ball in harm's way. It's part of the game. It's going to happen. But is that something you feel like in a guy like Daniel Jones can fix that?
He doesn't throw picks, right? I mean, Daniel Jones has not thrown for double-digit picks in a season since his second year.
No, I think his has been a standout example because of the market that he's been in,
right?
And in his situations. Like there was a game, one of his last games as a Giants quarterback, he threw 2 pick sixes in a game.
Right.
You remember
It was
that?
this year.
They were
Yeah.
like really point blank.
Was it-
Carolina.
is it more of the situation, that he was in that it, can get fixed somewhere
that
else?
could be. I mean, again, beauty's in the eye of the beholder
Yeah.
with this. I'm looking at his availability too. So 2023 was his worst season for injury stuff. Torn ACL, 8 games missed. Pinched nerve in his neck, missed 3 games. Missed 6 games in 2021 with a neck strain. Hamstring strain in 2020, missed 2 games. Ankle sprain in 2020, missed a game. High ankle sprain, missed 2 games in 2019. So that shows he's got the wheel stuff.
Okay.
But I don't hate the idea of having Daniel Jones as a veteran presence in this. And look, everybody has an opportunity for a second chance. And I mean, Sam Darnold is the shining example of that. And the penultimate example is, and you can go look it up, Jim Plunkett. Jim Plunkett was a high draft pick of the Boston Patriots, New England Patriots way back when, and he had the hell beat out of him and up there. And then he went with the 49ers for a little while. And so the Raiders pick him up off the scrap heap, and he becomes a Super Bowl MVP and wins a title.
That's
I mean,
wild.
it's
crazy.
Yeah. I mean, he is the penultimate get him off the scrap heap example. And Matthew Stafford, who had a much better career before he went to the Rams, is the same kind of ilk. He finally went and got him a ring.
Yep.
But yeah, Jim Plunkett, man, that's a hell of a story right there.
Rhett Bryan in studio with us Wednesday mornings here on the show. Good stuff, Rhett. Thanks,
Thanks,
sir.
Rhett.
Thank you all.
Good to see you. When we come back, Bert has found the audio of the lady trying to climb into the Ravens radio
Oh,
booth.
sweet.
So we'll play you that. Plus, an ESPN broadcaster got tricked by a stat on social media last night in a big way. We'll tell you about that next as well.
Hey, it's Ramon and Kayla with Window Nation. We've talked a little bit about the rain on the show and how we're getting lots of it. And maybe you are noticing some of the leakage in your windows right now, maybe even mold. Those are not good signs. And those are signs that your windows are in bad shape. So you definitely want to get in on the offer from Window Nation this month, 60% off all window styles. Plus, you're going to pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years.
No doubt about it. And here's why you can also trust Window Nation, too. They got an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. They do a 50-point inspection on every window before it leaves the factory. And also, on the install, they do a 20-point inspection of every window installed, too. The installers, they specialize in windows, man, with most of them having over 15 years of experience. 96% completion, customer satisfaction rating, too. It's simple. Kayla just told you. Hurry up. This sales ends February 28th, so don't overpay for those other windows, man. Schedule a free, no obligation in-home consultation now with the pros at Window Nation. Call them at 866-90-NATION or go online at windownation.com.
Wrapping up the show at RKW 104.5 The Zone. Appreciate Rhett Bryan hanging out and Grant Ramy earlier this morning. If you miss any of the conversation, it is available to you in moments. Wherever you download podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, what we recommend. Rhett brought up the lady that climbed into the radio booth of the Baltimore Ravens mid-game. And our esteemed executive producer, Robert Walsh, has found this audio already. Here you go.
Tyler Boyd has it for a short gain out to the 34-yard line. Again, impressive coverage by Anthony Avery.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
If you were listening, you heard Femi say, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" He was not talking to the players or the coaches. We actually had a fan who was trying to climb into the broadcast booth. She said, "I'm a veteran and I'm looking for a drink."
Yeah, I don't serve drinks at the game. I might make some cocktails at home, but this is not the right time or place.
Oh, that is funny.
You just never know what's going to pop up or who's going to show up on game day.
That is awesome.
It'll be second down and 5.
I want to make this a drop so bad.
She said, "I'm a veteran and I'm looking for a drink."
Hey, yeah, I talked to your mom yesterday.
She said, "I'm a veteran and I'm looking for a drink."
Oh, my gosh.
That's so good. Honestly,
awesome.
you hear how good Jerry Sandusky is as a broadcaster and how he composed himself during that.
That was actually really good right there, man.
The Ravens got mollywopped that game, 41-17.
Mollywopped.
Who were they playing again?
The Bengals,
because it was Tyler Boyd.
and it was
That's
it was the year that we had like the Young Man Service Academy playing on defense because we had 150 defensive injuries.
It's like what the Bengals had this year.
Hey.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Young
So
Man
we
Service
returned the
Academy.
favor. We returned the favor.
That is great.
Anyway, so
Good
that's
job
that
finding
broadcaster. Bert, do you have the audio ready of what happened last night on ESPN? So there's this stat going around that the SEC is so good in basketball that their conference record is 500. And Carl Ravage said it on ESPN last night.
So think about it. We know how dominant they were in the non-conference season, the SEC. They were 185-23. Since January 4 into Tuesday, the SEC teams are 82-82. It's not as if one team or two teams or three. They're 82-82. Like, there's been no ability to pull away. There's no dominant group of teams.
What? I'm confused.
And I was actually doing the math, guys.
What?
It looks like every conference in their conference schedule is 500. All the way down to the independents, everybody is 500. I can't believe
because somebody
this.
has to win and
that?
somebody has to lose every game. So, of course, they're 500.
Oh, God.
I feel bad for laughing. I've made some bad mistakes
But
on
you could
broadcast.
tell he was even trying to question it before he said it. Like, just don't say it.
He actually explained himself post-game about why he messed up on this. I pulled this as well.
She said, "I'm a veteran and I'm looking for a drink."
Right back at it,
Bring
baby.
it all together.
Right back at it, baby.
Bring it all together.
I'll end it with a positive. Carl Ravage is great on baseball tonight. Great on baseball tonight.
You're telling him to stick to baseball.
He is a really, really good host of Baseball Tonight. Back when that show existed.
To myself.
Oh, my gosh. That was good, man. He tried to get in the weeds
Anyways, that was
there.
a struggle bus right there.
Listen, I said the Lady Vols had their steals record as a program earlier this year, and I looked at the wrong part of the record book.
At least you said it with confidence, Will. That was not said with confidence.
There's no excuse. Like, we all make mistakes. I get it. But that one, the math of that is not quite mathing for me. Inky Johnson gives us midweek motivation. Happy birthday to Inky Johnson, by the way.
Happy birthday. Very nice.
Inky out here on a Valentine's Day birthday. We love to see it. Almost Valentine's Day. Midweek motivation wraps up the show each and every Wednesday. Buck got you next. Inky got you right now.
It's not what you do, it's who you are.
Yep.
It's not what's going to get you there, it's what's going to keep you there. Do what's right, not what's easy. You know what I'm saying? It's not what you do, it's who you are. Like how you operate, how you treat people, how you do things. It's not what you do, it's who you are, right? It's not what got you there, it's what's going to keep you there. Do what's right, not what's easy, right? Just how you live your life. It's certain people that live life a certain type of way. It's certain people that do things a certain type of way, right? It ain't about money. Money is the byproduct to them. They ain't tripping about no money. They doing things a certain type of way. They focus on what they doing. They just trying to do it right. They just trying to put out the best possible product. Like they ain't tripping on the byproduct.
She said, "I'm a veteran and I'm looking for a drink."